how many people have done a novation? Feel free, go ahead and raise your hand in the chat, or physically or with the button. Who's done a novation and actually closed one before? All right, well, you guys are gonna learn a lot then today on novations. Who has heard of a novation, or actually, I know a lot of you have heard of them. How about who has not heard of, never heard of the word novation and has no idea what it means? And that's okay, because it's a lot of people, including every seller I ever pitched to, has no idea what a novation is. Anybody brand new to novations? You guys can raise your hand or comment it in the chat. Okay, cool. Okay, Jordana, all right. Jane, heard of it, but don't know it. Crystalline, okay, cool. All right, I don't know, innovation. So correct, it's actually a novation. So I'll share my screen. We'll jump in now, guys. You can, first off, it does sound, it's a hard word to say too. It sounds like innovation, which we're all very innovative. Okay, so we already did our student shout outs. So we're gonna talk about, I'm just gonna give you guys an overview. I mean, novations, guys, we could make a whole series. And I know there's a series in the vault. If you guys really wanna deep dive into novations, I would go through that training. But today I'm gonna give you the high level. And what I wanna do today, guys, is I wanna, as you guys know me by now, I'm gonna start calling people and we're gonna talk and I'm gonna pitch it live. And these are not, guys, these are never scripted calls. They're just like, what I do is I tell my team, I'm like, what novation deals do we have in the pipeline? Schedule them for Friday and I wanna work them, right? So anyway, that's what we're gonna do today is we're gonna work them. We're gonna give you guys kind of the overview and how to speak to them and what's good, like give you the full down and dirty, right? And then we're gonna call them, okay? And then at the end, guys, we'll have time for all your student problems. So if you have one, please bring those. We'll probably be calling those about an hour from now. And then after that, I've probably got a whole nother bonus hour today of the No One Left Behind challenge calls. And those have been really good the last couple of weeks. So we'll see how many people who are in it for the long haul with me and gonna pull a 3-hour Zoom today, maybe plus. Okay, actually, I'm only gonna go 3 hours today because I do have a hard stop at 2 o'clock Central. Okay, guys, let me show you. So let's give you the high view. I'm gonna skip my intro. You guys can go back to the past episodes if you wanna know what I'm all about. Anyway, I go direct to seller. I have a direct to seller company, Wow Houses. I do property management in-house and I do construction all in-house. And then I have my fund up here, Bighorn Capital Fund for accredited investors. That's how we fund a lot of our deals. And yeah, we have about 250 doors right now. So really quick, I'm not gonna go through all the novation deals here, guys, but I just put a bunch of bullet points. I invest in Wyoming and Montana, and these are just all different property addresses we've done novations on. I'll give you the quick math. Our goal is to do 100 transactions this year, and I would say of those 100, we'll probably do 40 novations, probably 40%, right? The other ones are wholesales. Some we're just closing and flipping, and then we do a ton of, and some of those might be closing SubTo and doing seller finance. If you guys have listened to all our weekly Zooms, you saw the lowest acceptable offer principle, right? I want to bring this back up when we're talking novations. And if you guys want to dive deeper into lowest acceptable offer, this is a concept of how you think about when you're talking to a seller, right? People think about the maximum allowable offer and it's just they just run numbers. Like they say, hey, the house is worth 100,000 fixed up. I can offer 70% of that minus my repairs. And that is my maximum allowable offer. That's how a lot of people underwrite. But the way I like to negotiate deals, and I think the highest level closers do, is they talk about what is the lowest acceptable offer. So that means what is the lowest price a seller would accept in exchange for their property that directly solves the problem they're facing. So guys, when it comes to novations, this is a key. You got to think this way, right? You got to think about what is their problem and what would solve their problem. And often, as they're going to show you guys, a novation which gets them even more money is the best solution. And ultimately, you're gonna make more money on the assignment fee or the double close, the wholesale part of it, right? Dive a little bit deeper, but I just wanted to get you guys kind of thinking about that as we frame this up, okay? So to just overly simplify it, why we would do a novation, it's kind of between a wholesale and like actually going and fixing and flipping the property. By doing a novation, it allows us to list the property on the MLS. Because guys, everyone's got a buyer's list, right? Or everyone talks about, I'm in a lot of masterminds and everybody's like, I got the best buyer's list. I spent years cultivating my buyer's list, right? You know who has the best buyer's list? In the chat, who knows what the very best buyer's list is in the entire country? I gotta go back to the chat. Hedge funds, yep, somebody got it, there we go. Michael had it, Dustin had it. It is investor lists are good. Love you guys got it. Yes, the best buyer's list is the MLS, right? And what doing a novation allows you guys to do, possible buyer's list, is the MLS. And by doing a novation, you actually can get a property under contract and then you can go market it on the MLS. So why do I love Novations, guys, right? Here's a couple of reasons why I think they're so beneficial in our business. A, we could pay more for the property, right? I solve somebody's problem and ultimately I monetize way more leads. Because guys, if you're a wholesaler, you're probably thinking, I got to buy the property at 70% of the value minus repairs, like I talked, right? But what about all those properties that they might sell for 80% or 85% of the value, or maybe even 90. What doing a novation allows you to do is you could still go close that deal and make money on that lead, even at like an 85 to 90% of the value. You guys more about this, but simply just saying, if the house is worth 100K, instead of just being able to buy it at 70,000, I can now maybe pay 85 to 90,000 and still make a small profit on it, okay? The last thing is you're not taking a big risk, right? If I go buy a flip and I buy it at 85% of the value, that is a very, very large risk and a bet I would not make, right? But when I do a novation, I don't have to take that financial risk and I'm only investing my time, right? So I think it's a great way to close a lot. We just close way more deals. Like literally it just opens up our funnel and allows us to do a lot more marketing because we can monetize more deals. And the other thing is we can work more with more agents. So I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Let's kind of dive deep into, guys, like how do they work? Yes, is there a way, really quick, Mike's question, is there any way to get access to MLS without having a license? Yeah, great answer, Destin. Yeah, go talk to, there are agents who I don't have actually, as many deals as I do not have a login where I can just go punch in and get on the MLS. I can't do that. But I have so many agent partners, which actually you teed me up perfectly, Mike. So what I do is I find partner agents, and what I do is they pull all my comps, they do all my MLS listings, they do all the research I ever need, and in return, they get to list all my flips. But some people might not be doing quite enough volume in flips, or I might only give them a couple flips a year, and that might not be enough. But when I bring in novations, guys, there's so many deals that I bring in and I novate, and then I'm closing through a novation, and then I go use that same agent to list my novation, right? So now all of a sudden, 40% of my deal flows are 40% of the deals I told you guys, right? 40% of those are going to agents and I'm letting them list it, right? I could be an agent or a broker myself. I choose to do it this way because now all those agents get all those listings. That allows me to scale across the country. It's allowed me to scale across multiple states so far because these agents are like, yeah, we'll work with you. I'll go give you comps. I'll go check out the property for you. I'll go get pictures. I'll give you a rehab budget. I'll do all these things for no charge because they know they're going to get my listings, and not just my flip listings, but my novation listings. Quick question. Is there a conflict of interest to list your own deal? No, you can definitely, yeah, there's a ton of people in this community and investors across the country that are flippers and they're also agents and they list their own deal. So yep, I'm not going to speak for an agent. Agents have lots of rules, but I don't see a major conflict there. Okay, so let's talk about how it works. Okay, so like mechanically, and first off, we probably should start here. Like novation, what does the word mean, right? Like who the heck came up with novation, right? But if you look it up, you're replacing an old obligation with a new one. And I'll show you guys how this works as I explain the process a little bit more. But really, here's kind of the high level parts of it, guys. It's an agreement with your seller to sell the house at a fixed purchase price, right? So if I go make a wholesale offer, I'm gonna offer them, let's go back to the classic example where the house is worth 100, I think. I'm gonna make them a wholesale offer at 70,000, right? Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go make them an offer. Maybe I can offer them 80,000 or 85,000 on a novation, right? So we're going to have that agreement in writing. Okay. Within my agreement, I'm going to have the ability to market it on the MLS, right? We talked about the MLS is the best buyers list. You're going to find you have the best opportunity to sell that house if you put it on the MLS. Often you can utilize a local real estate agent, which I talked about, or you can use yourself. The third option is you can use a flat fee listing service. I've played with those before. I haven't had a ton of success, but I know a ton of people who do that all the time. And it's really market dependent. We struggle with it in our markets. And as I mentioned a second ago, I would rather take a little bit less on the deal and pay my agent who's doing all this other work for me than go do the flat fee service. But it is certainly much cheaper to use the flat fee service. What we do is we often give ourselves a 60 to 90 day close on this contract, right? So your typical cash offer, you might offer a 15 day or a 21 day close. If you're doing a novation, you need, minimum 60 days, ideally longer. And I'll kind of talk to you guys about how I word that in the contract. The next one is we have an attorney in fact, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. The attorney in fact, guys, at this point, you might be asking, how am I able to, and maybe that was part of the question about the conflict of interest, or either I'm going to tell you the first question, if you tell this to an agent, their first thought is going to be, how are you listing a property that you don't own? That's not legal. You can't do that. Well, the way we do it is what's called an attorney in fact. So guys, you could get like a full power of attorney, but a full power of attorney could give you a lot of responsibility for this person, which most people don't want to do. What we do is a simple attorney in fact. Here's kind of what this attorney in fact looks like. See, it's just an authorization for us to sign the listing documents for them, right? So I'm not saying that I can go sign off on all their assets and their will and their firstborn child, right? The only thing that I have access to is I can sign listing documents on their behalf. That way I can go list the property on their behalf. So it's a very simple, like you can see mine, it's a little one pager that it gives us access. We often notarize it just to have it stand up, but my attorney said you could probably just get away with a regular signature. So let me back up a little bit. So that's the attorney in fact, and that's what allows you to go list it with an agent. Make sure I keep up these comments. You guys must be listening well, or I'm explaining this because no questions yet. Okay, so now let's talk about what is this, like how will this mechanically work on the back end? So by signing a novation agreement, it allows you to basically, you get the house under contract, you put it on the MLS, now you go try to find your buyer. So once you go find your end buyer, it allows you to essentially go do a wholesale or go do a double close. In our scenario, or the most common scenario, or maybe the easiest way to understand this is you got the contract on the house via novation agreement. You went and listed it on the MLS, and we always send it to all of our buyers list. And then we find our end buyer, right? So if my end buyer is a cash buyer or a conventional buyer, anyone but an FHA buyer, I'm going to just typically go double close. And by double close, I mean, when we go to close on the very back end once I'm ready to sell the deal, I'm going to buy it on the same day that I sell it to my end buyer. And in different states have different rules. Some states, the beauty of a lot of our states is we can actually use the funds from the end buyer to fund our front end transaction, right? So that's the way you do it if your end buyer is a cash buyer or a conventional buyer. Okay, now let's talk about what if they are a FHA buyer. If you guys didn't know this, you cannot actually go double close now on a FHA buyer. Who knows why? Anybody in the chat, you guys know why you can't? What rule there is about trying to go double close on a FHA buyer? Anybody? And I'm gonna let you guys ask that, see who knows it. Seasoning, bingo, there we go. Mike's got it, 90-day rule. Yep. So good question, or good guess there too with Danny. So guys, it's called actually, I don't know what the exact rule is. We call it the 90-day anti-flipping rule. So on FHA loans, they will not allow it. They won't approve a loan on a deal that's been sold within the last 90 days. So if I go get it under contract, if I try to sell it the same day, I can't get it approved. So here's where novations come in. And hence the word novation. So see, back to the definition, a novation, you are replacing an old obligation with a new. So what you do is essentially, if you guys are familiar with an assignment, what an assignment is you're basically, I'm under contract, I'm buying this house, right? I want to sell it to my end buyer, right? But I'm just the middleman. What I do is actually, I assign my contract to the end buyer. And by using a novation agreement, it allows me to replace myself. Because again, think about two contracts here, right? I have my seller and me, right? We have a purchase contract. What I want to do is replace me, the buyer, with this guy over here that I found on the MLS or wherever. I want to replace him and put him into my contract. The way I do that is a novation. So the novation allows me to take myself out, put him in there, and then we get the right document signed at that point to where I just get paid an assignment fee, or you might call it a marketing fee. Or if I went and did some like cleaning and maybe I did some minor repairs on the house, I could call it like a repair fee. Whatever you want to call it, I'm going to get paid on the very last settlement statement. Because I replaced myself with the end buyer, I'm just going to get paid as like an additional payee on the closing statement. Yes. Okay. Mike's got a really good question. What if you're selling a home on the MLS, what keeps the owner from doing the exact same thing? Mike, nothing really. Like, right, as a seller could do the exact same thing, right? But typically I'll show you guys who this is a good fit for, but there's just a lot of people that don't want to deal with it. And then there's a couple other things we offer, but I mean, you hit it on the head, Mike. That's what a lot of people are like, well, why would anybody sell that? Why wouldn't they just do it themselves? Good question. I'm going to get to that in a second. But I wanted you guys to understand like the main caveat and when novations come into play is because think about this, guys, and I deal with this because I flip houses all the time. When I go to list my flip on the market or a house that I'm trying to resell, I want to get as many buyers as I can because the more supply and demand, right? The more buyers I have, the higher my price, or the more I could sell the house for. But if I can't sell to I mean, I don't know the percentages, it depends market to market. a lot of people buying FHA or buying through an FHA loan product, right? So if now I can't sell to half of the market because half the market is using an FHA loan, I just significantly reduce my buyer's pool. But if I do a novation and I structure the deal as a novation, that allows me to still sell to the bigger pool of buyers, okay? Hopefully that makes sense exactly. Guys, that is the definition of why I don't just go do a wholesale double close every time I get a contract and I do a novation. Is I want to be able to market and sell to the entire market. Hopefully that makes sense. How is that agreement different from a traditional purchase agreement with the ability to assign? Ooh, Dustin, really good question. So one of the big things is the marketing, right? The attorney in fact allows me to actually go market it on the MLS. And I would say in general, if you have a purchase contract with the ability to assign, it's typically not going to be a good enough or airtight agreement that's going to allow you to go list that on the MLS. But it is similar to an assignment in that way, Destin, right? But the biggest thing is you want to get ability to market the property. And as I'm going to talk to you guys later, you gotta position this right to the seller. Good questions. Does an FHA lender for end buyer ever object to the fee on the HUD? Ooh, good question, Justin. How is your fee described in the HUD? Yeah, so here's my quick answer. Talk to the end buyer, right? All you need to do, every time we do this, we have a conversation with the buyer's lender. Say, hey, now that I say that, honestly, half the time we don't even have to have the conversation. We just put a marketing fee the most general one is a marketing fee, or you can put a construction fee. Think about this, guys. This happens all the time when, like, if you got to get a roof replaced on a house, like say you go through inspections and they got to replace a roof, or they got to go pay whatever contractors. Often those contractors get paid on the HUD statement, and lender has no issues with it, right? If it's like $100,000 novation deal and you're selling the house for $200,000, you might want to ask the lender, be like, hey, just FYI, this is going to be on here. I want to make sure we word this correctly. But if you have any concerns, all I would do is just go talk to that lender and ask them how they want it on there. Yeah, okay. And then William, back to thanks for sending that in here. So I would not worry about, William's question is, this seems scary with high interest rates, right? And there's less buyers on the market and less people using financing, right? So William, I might think of that too. I might be like, you know what? The buyers right now that are buying are cash buyers. And to your point, but regardless, here's the thing. All the buyers, even in high interest rate conditions, they're still looking on the MLS. Like, it does not change that the MLS has the best buyers list and you're going to find the most people on there. So whether rates are high or low, I agree, it's going to limit the buyer. There's less buyers in the market, without a doubt, right now at high interest rates, right? But still the best way to go move a property is to go put it on the MLS. Good questions, guys. Okay. So I kind of touched on this already, guys, but one of the benefits is I could pay closer to market value. I'm going to show you guys a slide a little bit more to show you that. Often the seller doesn't have to pay for repairs. And this kind of gets into the selling point, right? And to Mike's question, like, why would anybody ever do this, okay? Why would a seller do a novation? Well, one of the big things we do is say, hey, I'm going to pay for the repairs. And you guys will hear me pitch this today. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to take care of whatever. And it's all in the language, which I'm kind of getting into the talk track right now. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to save it. I'm going to get in the talk track later and how I kind of frame these up. But for now, I want you guys to know that, like, I often offer to pay for repairs, and often we'll even offer to pay their mortgage payment for a couple months. Whatever they need help with, we'll help with them in the interim. Okay. And then I talked about avoiding the seasoning period with FHA buyers. Okay. All right, guys, I already talked about the documents, the attorney in fact. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys how I frame this up on a letter of intent, right? Every week we talk about making offers, right? And the first step of an offer, at least in our business, and what I think a lot of people are doing in SubTo, is they're sending a letter of intent. So this is what a letter of intent looks like with a novation. I always like giving 3 options, right? I got the cash offer here, as you can see on this, for $90,000. I got the standard purchase with this ability to assign contract, okay? You notice I'm not saying novation. I don't say, here's my novation offer. When I talk, guys, I won't say novation at all. And Pace is really good about teaching this. Like, you don't need to use jargon words that people don't understand. So just say, hey, ability to assign the contract. And then I just say, as you can see here, the offer is, instead of $90,000, it's $130,000. But I say our target closing date is 60 to 90 days, because that's going to allow me to market the property and go find an end buyer. And then I always like putting in the seller finance one. Like, I'll typically pay full retail value if they'll carry the property, right? That's a SubTo or a hybrid, but I always like giving 3 options, right? But again, kind of the Goldilocks option is the middle one. It's the novation, right? They don't have to sell it for super cheap. They don't have to wait to get their money, but they get their money in 60 days and they get arguably the most money out of their property. Okay, so that's the letter of intent. So let's talk about the candidates for this. And this kind of goes back into like what Mike asked earlier about who is going to buy, like why would somebody sell it, right? This is great for a house that just needs a quick cleaning or minor repairs to get full retail. Mike, often these people or anybody else who has that question, they literally have hardly money, right? They might be struggling with payments, as I said in number 2. They don't have the money to go pay for a guy, even like a couple $100 or and maybe a couple $1,000 to get somebody in there to go make some repairs or just go clean the house. And that kind of leads into number 3, guys. I find this works super well all the time with people who have already left. Like it's such an easy pitch when maybe it's an old landlord or a tired landlord that just had the tenant move out and the tenant destroyed the place or at least didn't leave it clean. And they're like, I'm sitting here in California. I got this property, this rental in Wyoming. I don't want to drive up there and clean it. I don't want to have to coordinate contractors. I don't want to have to work with an agent. I don't want to jump through all those hoops. I just want to sell my property, right? But this guy also doesn't want to sell his house in a wholesale price. He doesn't want to sell it for 70, 60 cents on the dollar. So what I say is, you know what? Let me pay you 80% and let me go manage all that for you. How does that sound? And he's like, you know what? I don't have to deal with any of that. And I don't have to spend any more money on this deal. That's really what makes a big difference, right? So you guys got to find a way to bring value, right? I mean, granted, I say that there are a lot of real estate wholesalers that do novations and they literally don't do anything other than list the property and do some marketing. And some people are just fine with that, right? But we try to bring more value by being like, hey, I'm going to go clean this up, or I'm going to get my contractor to go make repairs. Or another thing is, you know what? You got that good example. You've got a T-lock roof, and unless you're prepared to go pay for that and spend $15,000 to repair that roof before you sell the house, which a lot of people don't have $15,000 sitting around, I say, you know what, we're gonna pay for that, but I need ability to go find my end buyer before we can do it. Okay, guys? What happens? I'm gonna go to the questions here. What happens if you list on the MLS and it's not selling? Ooh, good question. Very good question, William. So the way these contracts are written is I have 60 days or 90 days to sell the house, right? But it says in the contract that if we can't sell it, then, and I just try to be open with people, guys, right? Because this is a very tricky, it depends on your buyer, right? Sorry, your seller. So some sellers are like, I pitch it as, and I guess we're kind of getting into talk tracks. Yeah, first let's talk about who this doesn't work for, guys. If they need all the cash up front and they're trying to go buy a new house, like literally they need to sell this house to buy their new home, a novation isn't gonna help, right? They've got to get money fast. I mean, it could work, but if they need the money quick, it's not going to work, right? This is a 60 to 90 day close, okay? And it's also, this is the big thing that you guys, everybody in this call has got to hear, is these novations are not going to work on properties listed, right? Think about it, that what value am I bringing to the equation if, and I'm like, okay, hey, I'm going to go novate it and pay you less and turn around and list it with somebody else. It doesn't work. The only way it could work is if, hey, you know what? You need to cancel that listing. Let me go in there and pay a couple $1,000s to clean this place up, get it looking really nice, retake photos, and get this house more presentable. That could work, right? But in general, if this is not a good strategy if it's listed on the market, okay? And then really quick before we get to talk tracks. So just think about it, right, guys? You got and I've talked about this already a little bit, but to rehash it, you've got your wholesale price over here, and then you've got full retail, right? And this is actually a good way for me to tee up, once again, the talking track. So what I try to tell people is, hey, I'm gonna give you my cash offer. And this is how I always start it. I'm like, okay, before you hang up on me, let me finish my thought. Let me tell you 2 different options I wanna give you, right? The first one is my cash offer, which I would not recommend unless you need all the money, right? And I say, hey, and then I basically go out there and offer them 50 cents on the dollar, maybe 60% of what the house would be worth, right? I'm very aggressive on the cash offer because I know I got the novation. And what that does is, as long as they don't hang up on me, which I give them that caveat, say, don't hang up on me, let me get to option 2. Then I move into the novation offer. Because typically they're gonna be like, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't wanna do that. I'm like, hey, you know what, Mr. Seller, I don't blame you. I would not sell my house for that much. Here's a better option for you. I could pay you much more, and I probably get close to your price, but here's what I need. All I need for you in order to do this is I need you to let me market the property. I need you to let me get in there and do some cleanup, and I need you to give me some time. And this is where I frame it up and I was like, how fast do you need this money? Do you have a credit card balance? Are you gonna be foreclosed on? Or is there something really bad happening right now to where you need the money today? And then they're like, no, I'm good. I'd like to get it sooner than later. I'm like, okay, well, can you wait 60 to 90 days and then I can give you significantly more? And the majority of the people are like, I want that option, right? They don't want this 70 cents, 60 cents on the dollar option. They want the 80 to 85% or cents on the dollar option. Does that make sense? So that's where you position it, right? And the reason I'm showing you guys this slide is the next kind of talking track I say is, because I always want my sellers, the way I negotiate is like, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I want them to understand, like, how am I looking at numbers? And it's transparency, right? So what I tell the seller is I go, okay, being fully transparent, the reason why I can pay you more money and the reason why I still can't pay you full price is I tell them about, what if I were to flip this, right? So if I were to flip this, I got to buy this so cheap because I got to pay title fees twice. I got to go pay my lender fees. I've got all these fees that I have to pay in order to buy the house, ignoring all the repair costs, right? But if I'm just buying the house and then I have to go flip it and resell it, there's all those fees that I list out for them, right? And I tell them, you know what? Rather than me going and paying the title company twice, paying the agent twice, paying my lender twice, what if I just gave that money to you? What if you actually were able to keep that money in your pocket?Uld that help you out? And typically they're like, yeah, don't pay those guys. I want the extra money, right? So that's how I help them kind of bridge the gap between, I'm not giving them full retail price. And that's why I showed you guys this on this slide, is full retail price is what I'm going to get after I flip it. And I tell them, there's no way I can get you that. And there's really no way anybody could get you that right now because your house needs repairs. But I go, but if I give you this Novation offer, I can kind of meet in the middle, right? And often I'll go do a little bit of work like in the middle of the job, which is kind of another, we'll kind of get to that later, but I'm going to go check the questions though for a second. All right, we got a couple new people. Awesome. Hey, they got on. All right, awesome. Nakem invited some people. So Cindy and Kenya. Hey, Cindy and Kenya, thanks for letting us know. We got some new people coming in. All right, so we're doing everything Novations, guys. We're about to do some live calls here in a second. The talk track. Yep, glad you like the talk track. Any other more questions on the talk track before let me check out my next slide. We're going to get into a case study here in just a second. Okay. What if the property has 2 failed listings already on MLS? Ooh, Ernest, good question. So yeah, obviously you would want to understand why did those listings fail, right? Maybe the house just needs to be cleaned, or maybe it needs some repairs, or maybe it needs a new roof. It could be just the way it's being positioned, right? Like sometimes I'll go tell them that, hey, I'm going to novate your property. I know we got to fix the roof, but I need to go market this right now. And on my MLS listing, I'm going to tell buyers, seller willing to replace roof. And then I'm going to do that before closing, right? That might help actually get the property moved. So if you understand why it's not moving, I do agree a failed listing could still potentially be a novation, but you've got to do something to change the property in some way. And that could just, like I said, this could be just a simple, better pictures, better cleaning, or some repairs. Yes, so William's talking about the rehab. I think I will address that now, guys. So I'm going to probably save this for, I don't know if I'll do it next week, but well, let me ask you guys this. Let me frame this up and you guys tell me if this would be interesting. So the difference between we call it our revive method. So if I'm going to go put a bunch of renovations into a novation, there's a risk, right? So if I go put $10,000 into renovations, do a novation, but all I have is a novation agreement. We're getting pretty deep here, guys. So see if you can stay with me. I'm going to back up a little bit. If you have a purchase contract that is a novation agreement, all it is a written contract, right? If I were to go spend $10,000 on painting and cleaning up the yard and getting this house ready to go, and then my seller all of a sudden decides, hey, or they just ghost you, right? It happens all the time, unfortunately. If they go dark on you and you put $10,000 in, your remedy to fix that is you have to sue them, right? You have to go through the legal court system to enforce your $10,000. I mean, you could put a lien on the property, but guys, it's a pain in the butt, right? So what I recommend, and kind of my threshold, and everybody's threshold is different, right? Everybody's risk tolerance is different. And to me, every deal is different. But our rule of thumb is if I'm going to put $10,000 or more into this property, I'm actually going to do what I call our revive method, or it's kind of like a SubTo flip. What I'll do is, I'll say, you know what? I've got to put, guys, we do this all the time. We're all going to put 50, even I put in $150,000 into a house before. But what I did is I took over the loan, but I changed the deed, right? So the big difference on this, what I call our revive method, I think there's a lot of other names in SubTo you guys could go find. But what I'll do is the deed changes, right? So when we close, deed comes into my name. Now I control the property. And what I do is I give my seller a mortgage and a promissory note saying, hey, I will pay you X amount, kind of like a novation when we sell it on the back end, right? But I don't want to go risk more than $10,000 on a novation agreement versus on the flip side, a formal closing where the deed changes to my name, because now if that person flakes, I get a third-party authorization signed, and now I'm protected. If that guy completely disappears, I could still sell the house, right? Because I own the house. It's under my name, right? So that is kind of my way I kind of mitigate that. And that's a whole nother, guys, I'm actually planning that for Problems to Profits down the road. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I pitch those deals, because I'll tell you guys this, I do a lot of novations, but I would probably say the next biggest strategy is what I call this revive method, where again, we're taking over the mortgage, we're fronting the rehab, and then we're selling the house. And then when we sell it, we pay our seller on the front end. Cool. Dahlia, thanks for coming in. All right, William, you already have a buyer lined up. You have a lot of cash into the rehab. Yep, sorry, I'm just catching up the questions. Okay, so your option 3 for best candidate sounds like a partnership. Yeah, do you tell the sellers you're partnering with them? Yeah, so Jodakai, on that option, I'm gonna keep calling it the revive method. That's our construction company, so that's why we call it that. That option 3, yeah, we tell them I tell them they're a partner. It really depends on the seller, right? Effectively, they're just going to be a lender, right? And they're gonna get paid on the back end. But yeah, it's really like a partnership to where, actually I say that all the time. I'm like, I'm getting too deep into this one. I'm gonna talk about it more, but I do say, okay guys, we're both incentivized. We're on the same side of the table now. The more I sell this house for, the more money we both make. Okay, I'm gonna keep going into this deal and break it down. You guys keep the good questions coming. I will answer Richie's though. How much are you typically trying to make on these novations? Ooh, good question. I mean, okay, so I will tell you, I'm willing to make less on a novation because the risk is less to me. And like, let's say that there's only like 10, okay, rule of thumb, I try to make at least 20,000 on our wholesale deals. If it's a novation, I might do it just to make $10,000, right? Because I'm not taking any risk and I'm being transparent with my seller that, hey, I'm gonna try to get you as much as I can out of this house, but there's no guarantees. And therefore, because I always hate backing out. You never wanna back out on somebody, right? And say, hey, I'm gonna get you 210, are you gonna 210? Okay, I know I can get it. And then you can't get 210 and then they're frustrated with you. So that's all about setting expectations. So if I'm gonna take a skinnier deal where I only make 10,000, what I do is I tell my seller, I say, hey, guys, because this is all in the negotiation, right? Typically I offered them 80%, right? I would 80 cents on the dollar to where I have a 20% cushion. I keep talking about, right, I can offer more with innovation. So I might offer them 80% of the value minus repairs. But if they like, you know what? No, Casey, this only works if I get 90%. And I'll say, you know what? I'll give it a try. I think I can potentially get you 90%. I can't promise it. And that profit margin might only be 10K for me. But at that point, all I'm investing is my team's time, right? I don't have any financial risk on that deal. Really good question. I agree, Richie. Okay, when you're prospecting on a house, are you looking for high equity, low interest rates with low equity? Yeah. Search parameters. Yep. So I agree. This is a great one. You know what? I mean, low equity can work. I mean, I'm just trying to think of I haven't done a ton of low equity. I'm just thinking through that. If they don't have a ton of equity, it can still work with those, right? Because they might have low equity and therefore they don't have a whole lot of cash. I mean, often a person who has low equity doesn't have a whole lot of cash sitting around. So you could do a novation and be like, hey, I think I could get this property sold for you, but I need 60 days. So yeah, it can work in high equity, low equity. They work in pretty much every scenario except if it's listed with an agent. That's when it becomes hard. Good questions, guys. Who's ready for a case study and some calls, live calls? You guys ready? I'm gonna drink some water for a second. I've been talking for an hour straight. But what questions do you guys have so far? Ready for live calls? Okay.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Real quick. Okay, so what I was thinking innovation was, so let's say you have an ugly home, okay? It's their parents' home and they're selling it, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to get as much as they want. So they have it really priced too high. What if you take and you say, look, like you said, partner in, I'll take and rehab the house. We'll take and put it on the market. When it sells, and I don't know if this is what you were saying because I came in late, I was busy. We pay back the money that was borrowed to rehab the house, and then I get paid my work, and then whatever is left over, the seller gets.
Yep, bingo. You nailed it. Sorry, the way I have my screen set up, I can't see who that was. Is that?
So it's Michelle.
Michelle, I thought I recognized your voice. Okay. Yeah, so Michelle, that is the one I call the revive method. I do that all the time. Guys, you'd be surprised. That situation happens all the time. And I bet this year we're probably gonna do 10 plus, maybe 20 deals just like what you just laid out. And that's exactly how I set up. I just say, hey, we'll do this together. We'll get the most out of the house because these people don't have the money to front it and to do it. I'm literally closing one. I'm closing how many of them? 2 of them just like that at the end of this month, guys, that are just like that. And those are some of the most profitable deals I do. So we're going to do a Zoom just on that one, Michelle. Probably not next week, but we'll do it.
I was I figured that will take and show the seller that the house wasn't really what they thought it was worth.
Yep, exactly.
Because I tried doing there's one in a historic area and they have it like way priced too high.
Good. No, that's good, Michelle. I'm going to keep it rolling. But yeah, we'll definitely do some case studies on that one. I think you're spot on. That's kind of the next level of novations. And to answer Mike's question, or was it Mike or in William's question? Yeah, where you got to think about this is how much money are you comfortable putting in, guys? But again, I'm painting a much more conservative, or maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate, guys. The majority of the time we have no issues, right? And that's where, again, I think you got to know the situation with your seller, and I guess I've done enough deals to where, I mean, have I gone in and put more than 10,000 into a property that I simply had a novation contract securing me? Yeah, I have, right? But I felt better about that seller. And there's also some sellers that will not change the deed. They're like, no, I'm not doing that. And that's a deal breaker. And if that's the case, then you got to mitigate, you got to just think about that risk, right? But everybody's a little bit different on their threshold there. Okay, I'll go jump back into this deal. So here's the deal, guys. I'm going to show you one that I'm looking at right now. I'm going to call this person. You can kind of see the notes, guys, just to see how this kind of comes all together. So this is what I get from my team, right? So this lead came in. They were asking $875,000 market value. They're basically asking market value, right? Motivation, downsize, needs minor repairs, occupancy, owner occupied. So this is an elderly person, and they want to close in 2 months, right? So anyway, here's kind of a little bit more of the notes from my lead manager, or she's actually my acquisition specialist now. So this lady's wanting to see what it's worth. It's 11 acres. It's a really nice house. Could use some paint, carpet. She's not sure what she can commit. So guys, here's my first step, right? So if I got this call, and I'm jumping into step 2 right now to show you guys this case study, but there's already been a conversation with this lady, right? The first conversation was Judith calling her, right? So if I'm first calling this lead, you're going to see that in a second, right? But what the big summary was, all right, nice house. Let's get the agent out to the house, guys. And this is the way I'm able to sit here in Houston today and run all my operations in Montana, Wyoming, other states across the country, right? Because I get on the phone with this person and I say, hey, I understand the situation, and then I send out my agent to the house. So once we got out there, check this out. So here's the summary. I'm actually going to play it for you. So my agent, his name is Colton. I use Voxer all the time, right? If you guys are with me on Voxer, this is what Colton says. So let's play Colton's message. So this was after Colton walked the house. This is his feedback.
I just finished this one. I don't like one here. It is a turnkey, ready to go to the open market house. Gorgeous, very, very, very nice. It could use updating, but it's never going to be a house that gets updated before it goes to the market. When I say updating, maybe some more modernized carpet probably needs a lot in this house, but very, very nice. I'll attach photos. Probably, without just getting into the dirty comps today, and probably was close to $1 million. There's a shop on it. The shop has concrete floors. Little electrical ran to it though, so there's not often that I say there's a novation route. May not. I don't know. I think this is just a true sale. There's nothing to be done here. The next buyer isn't going to have to do anything. They're going to get hit with a few repairs on inspections because that's just how that works. But other than that, it has every feature of a rural property, and it's in a great location right outside of town. So yeah, my thought is it's going to be, you guys do your thing with your novation or revive route. I don't know if it's going to be the right fit for her. Nothing needs to be revived. That's the problem there. So send me a link. I'll upload photos and answer any other questions you have. She is definitely not ready to sell until springtime. So maybe it's something to put in the system for later, of course. But that's where we're at today. It's on propane, has electricity to it. So, just let me know.
Okay, guys, that's for my age. You're going to see, you're probably going to be like, why'd you use this example? But I still want to show you guys, I'm still going to call on this one and see if this one works. But anyways, and I want to also show you guys too, this is how I'm trying to find the LOI. Hold on a second. I want to share this LOI that I shared that we sent to this. Let me pull this up. If you guys feel free to ask any questions while I'm pulling this up, guys. And I will try to multitask, see if I can do it. I did see another question about using a private money lender or funding the rehab, guys. That's, again, I'll dive into that here in a couple weeks. I love the energy toward the revive method, but yeah, I actually use private money lenders to fund rehabs. Works really well. And we're going to call this, so as you guys can see, the numbers are around 100,000. I'm going to get it popped into Resimply. Resimply is the CRM I use to call this lead. I'm going to call him here on speakerphone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call him. Guys, this is going to be a difficult one to novate, but you guys can kind of see how I navigate it, because the house is ready to go, right? And what I'm going to try to touch on is I'm going to try to, by asking her questions, I'm going to try to find some sort of way to where we could bring value, right? Because she could just go list this with an agent, right? And I don't think she's in a tough financial spot. I'm probably really going to play upon, and I'm going to use third-party stories of people just loved how convenient it was, right? They didn't have to deal with the listing. They didn't have to negotiate. They just got to figure out how much They got to lock in a price. Ooh, guys, that's another one I haven't mentioned yet, is this works often because people are just like, they like certainty. So if you can give them a certain price, be like, hey, I think I can get you this much with that much work for you, right? And that's where like the talk track and like the anchoring, like often you'll get somebody to throw out there like, if I just got 80,000 for my house that's worth 100K, if I just got 80, I'd be happy, right? So then I can figure out, okay, well, does $80,000 work? And then I can kind of work my numbers back from there, right? But then when they throw out that number, a lot of times people are like, you know what? If I got the 80,000 and I didn't have to deal with any of this negotiation and I knew I was going to get 80,000, then they're happy to move forward, right? And again, you got to be careful. You don't want to guarantee them 80,000, but you'd be like, hey, if I go do my thing and I've been doing this for a while, I mean, having a track record helps as well, right? And you can go refer them back to a bunch of other people you've done novations with. And that's what makes it a lot easier for me to close novations, guys, is I literally say, hey, go watch these 5 videos from these other 5 people who've done a novation with me and see that we actually did what we said we were going to say, or we did what we said and delivered on our promises, right? But the point is, people like certainty. People like if they just know they get that number and they don't have to worry again. A lot of times people will, surprisingly, they'll take less for that as long as they have the certainty. Okay. All right, let's try Jackie here. We'll see what she says. You guys kind of saw the notes earlier though.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished.
Let's try her again.
The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hey Jackie, Casey Gregerson here, giving you a shout on the house. They're in Cheyenne as promised. Let me know. I'm gonna be free for the next 30 minutes. I just wanted to touch base on the house in Cheyenne. I know you're probably not looking to sell till next spring or when the weather gets a little bit better, but still wanted to talk through some options and follow up after Colton met you at the house. So we'll talk through. We'll talk soon. Thanks. Here we go. All right, let's try a couple more of these leads. So now I'm gonna go back up, guys, and I was hoping she'd answer. She might call back. As you know, you can never guarantee who's going to answer. And that's how you know these are not scripted, because some people don't answer. All right, let's go with another. I'm going to try a couple. These are like new leads, guys, that I haven't. Actually, I had my lead manager. Some of these guys might not even be teed up, but we're going to go try to pitch the Novation offer. 631-306. And if anybody has a call that is not listed, we're going to wait to do those at the very end. But if anybody has a seller who they think this could work for, raise your hand, because I would be happy to call one of your guys'. But I've got several of mine teed up here. This one is in Whitewood, South Dakota. Before I give you the full download, let's see if they'll actually answer. Okay, house built 1936. This is old, working, free and clear. Asking price is $80,000. Wow. We got this from a paper lead.
Hello.
Hey there, is this Connie?
Yes, it is.
Hey Connie, this is Casey Gregerson from YO Houses. I know you were working with my my other team member Judith, right? Do you remember Judith?
Oh.
Okay.
Someone called me by the name of Sam.
Sam. Oh, okay. You didn't talk to Judith yet, so you talked to Sam. Well, good. Yep. Sam's. We have a nice a small team of guys and girls that work to find deals. I actually buy across Wyoming and Montana and South Dakota now. So I actually grew up in Sheridan. Are you from South Dakota, Connie?
No, I'm from Colorado.
Got it.
Years ago, but we got married. He went to the Colorado State University.
Okay.
And we got married and come up here to South Dakota.
Oh, wow. Well, that's cool.
Where he's from.
Okay, gotcha. So your husband was a CSU Ram, huh?
Yes,
I'm sorry to hear that. I graduated from Wyoming, so we're big rivals.
Oh,
but I'll forgive him. That's right. Well, cool. Well, good to catch up. So yeah, I went through the notes though that Sam got for you. I know we haven't been, kind of our next step is typically I'd love to get my partner out to the house to kind of look at it. Because Sam didn't schedule that with you, right? Just yet?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah. Would that be okay if I can send my partner out there to look at it, and then we can that way we can kind of start talking numbers and put together an offer? Would that be okay with you?
I wish you'd give us a little time to do some cleaning. I wanted to.
Okay.
My husband has had all kinds of doctor's appointments.
Okay.
He's 92 and I'm 85, so you can imagine.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
And I've got the number on my cell phone. Can I give you a call back?
You bet. Absolutely. You remind me of my wife, right? She's like, people can't come over, I gotta clean, but it's like, it's really not a big deal. Like, especially, we buy a lot of older houses, so don't feel that's gotta get perfect. We, honestly, it's probably better for us if it's a house that needs some repairs and some work. So don't feel bad about that at all.
Okay.
But let me ask you too, just to kind of give you a couple options, which I don't have exact numbers. I want to see the house really, really quickly, right? I know you guys are hoping to get 80,000. Is that right? Is that what you're kind of hoping?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So depending on the condition, we might be able to do that. Let me ask you this: how soon do you guys want to sell? Like in the perfect scenario, if you could sell in a month or next spring, or when would be ideal for you?
Well, what would be ideal? We have got an application in for a senior apartment
Okay.
over in Spearfish, South Dakota,
Okay.
and we're third from the top.
Okay. Oh, wow. How, okay. So you're getting close. Does that mean so it could be tomorrow, right? It could be tomorrow, or it could be in a couple months, kind of
It could
question
be
mark.
tomorrow, it could be in a couple of months, it could be in 6 months.
Okay. Got it.
They've got a big complex over there.
Okay.
And we wanted a 2-bedroom and a ground entrance.
Okay.
So, but she says we're third from the top on that.
Okay.
And sometimes they come open real fast.
Got it. Okay.
We
Well,
don't really want to sell until we know for sure we got a place to go.
okay. Understandable. Got it. Well, don't feel like you got to rush. Well, here's the beauty, right? If, I know some people might put pressure on you, or if you try to go list your house, you're at the mercy of when your buyer wants to buy it, right? But the beauty of us is we can be flexible. We'll still be here if it's next week or next year. We're still interested. So I'm definitely happy to work with you. But maybe would it be okay if I'm going to let you talk to your husband and look at your schedule, Connie, but what I would still love to do is be able to go see the house. And that way, when you're ready, we can move a little bit faster. Cause sounds like when the new place says go, you're going to want to go pretty quick, I would assume, right?
They give you a month.
Okay. A month. Got it. Okay. Well, great. Well, I think that would work. That works great on our side. Yeah. What else? Is there anything else? Any questions you have so far about how it would work?
No. He told me in. The property here, well, I don't know if he told you this or not, but we're on 2.5 lots.
Okay.
It's an older house. There's 3 bedrooms upstairs and 1 downstairs. We don't use the upstairs except the store.
Okay.
And this is where I want to go through some things. First, we're working on kind of getting situated and finding out, what we want to take.
Okay. Got it.
And so it'd probably be best if I just give you a call back.
Okay.
And then I've had letters from some other people
Got it.
too, so.
Yes. And that was the only thing, Connie. Like, I'm happy to wait as long as you guys want, but that's why I was hoping I could get in there and at least we could kind of have first shot at it, give you at least, yeah. I mean, if numbers work for us, I'm assuming if we can meet your timeline and could get you the price, you feel like you could be able to sell to us?
Well, let me wait and see.
Okay.
My daughter knows a man here that does this too, and he's local.
Okay.
So she kind of wanted to talk to him.
Totally fair. Well, either way, yeah, we still want to look at it, and I totally understand. I'd look at my other options too. So, okay, well, maybe you said you just want to give us a call when you kind of thinking you'll know and we could come.
Oh.
Okay.
And I've got your number on my phone.
Okay, and it might be Sam or Judith. They also might follow up with you, but is it best just to check in? Do you prefer a text message or a call to check in with you?
You can send either one.
Okay. Oh, wow. I'm impressed. You could do text messages at your age. Not everybody can.
Oh yeah, I do mobile banking.
And mobile. And okay. Wow. You just blew my mind. Connie, you're probably the first person I know that age that knows how to do mobile banking. I'm telling you, we buy a lot of houses just from, because honestly, I'll tell you this. So a lot of people we buy from are people that are your age and they just don't want to deal with the repairs and they just want to be able to move into their next house and not have to deal with any of the hassle, right? And they could leave whatever they want behind and just try to make it easy.
That was what I was wondering. I got an entertainment center here that I know we can't take.
Yep.
An old Hobart player piano.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. So any of that, honestly, here's the beauty is leave whatever you want behind with us, with our offer. And you'll see that when we make our offer. And then if you need any help with moving, I've got a crew of guys and we'd happily help you if that's whatever you need to make it easier.
Okay, I may have my daughter talk to you too.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Would that be, do you care if I reach out to her? I could call her, text her. Okay, that's fair. All right, well, you do that. I'll let you talk to her. And then because you're so up with the technology, I'll shoot you a text here. And if I don't hear from you in the next couple days, I'll check with you next week. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, Cynthia. Thanks for your time.
Well,
Have a great weekend. Okay. All right, guys. That was hilarious. Oh, that lady. You don't get too many ladies that age that have that much personality. But anyway, yeah, that was pretty cool. No, that was just a good in general direct to seller call, right? I didn't go too far down in Novation. So guys, now I'm kind of showing you like step one. So step one is I'm just collecting information. This is near Spearfish, South Dakota. I'm in Houston, right? I'm not gonna go visit that house. So my first step is I wanna go get my agent out there to look at it. So that's why I was trying to get that framed up for her. And then from there, once my agent goes over there, that's when I get that box. Remember, I played Colton's message earlier. I'll get that download from Colton on the condition and the pricing. And that's when I'll call her back. And that's when I'll really start talking price, right? So that's when I'll be like, okay, Connie, so we checked it out. And then I might kind of throw an anchor down there. I'll be like, hey, we bought some houses for like, if she wants 80, I might say, hey, we bought some houses for like, if I was paying cash, my cash offer would probably be 40,000. And that's probably not what you want, but are you still stuck on 80,000? Is that kind of the number for you is what I would say? And she might be like, yeah, that's what I really want. And then I would go into, okay, well, to get you 80,000, I can do that. I can even move all your stuff for you. I'll even help you get movers, leave whatever you want behind. But all I need, Connie, is could you give me 60 to 90 days to get you that price, right? And typically they'll be like, yeah, I don't need all the money. And then they'll go for it, right? But anyway, that's just to kind of show you guys that talk track, how it would progress. Makes sense? Any questions on that, how I'd frame that up? And then I would think, you know what, on that one, it might be worth me investing $5,000 to go get everything cleaned out of that house and cleaned up and just see if I could list it as like a kind of like a wholesale, right? Effectively, a Novation could be like a wholesale, right? Except I don't have to go spend the $80,000 to close it. I'll just pay $5,000 and I'll clean it up and then I'll sell it for 120 and she'll get her 80,000. Everybody will be happy. Cool. All right. Appreciate the comments. All right, let's try one more, guys. Let me go to my next one here. Okay, still digging down. I got a couple new messages from my lead manager. She was setting up appointments literally as we started. Oh, okay, never mind. I just saw that Jackie is available right now. LOI scheduled to send at 11:30. Okay, cool. All right, let's go back to Jackie now. Let's see if Jackie is ready because we had a call scheduled for right now. Okay, cool. And all right, now I got the LOI, guys, for to show you. So let me show you guys. Now we're gonna go backwards. So if you guys remember, if you could remember back to that Voxer message of that agent, of that house, he was saying that, hey, this house is retail. So what we did is we offered a cash offer. I think what Judith did is she did about 50 to 60% of the value, right? So again, I'm going to be careful for her not to get mad because she's going to be this would be a borderline offensive, but that's why we go, hey, we could do a Novation and offer you $925,000. Closing date is 60 days, right? So two very simple options for her. And the only thing I would have added in here is that we could be very flexible. And then as you guys, I mentioned the YouTube videos or the testimonials. On all of our offers, we try to give them this little testimonial. That way they can go and see us working with all these other different people, right? But okay, Judith also sent me a message. Okay, I'm gonna play this for you guys. Hopefully Judith doesn't give anything.
I talked to them, the woman out there, and I have not talked to her. I have not tried to call her since Colton sent info yesterday. I was gonna call her and send her a Novation. So that one should be good. 814 Pine. I tried to call this morning.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure Judith didn't have any other answer or any other important updates. That might have been hard for you guys to hear. Wasn't as loud as Voxer, but okay, we're going to try her again. So this is.
Hello.
Hey, Jackie, this is Casey Gregerson.
Hello.
How are you? Did I catch you at a good time?
Yep, I'm just driving home from my appointment, so I'm good now.
Oh, good. Are you're in Cheyenne today, or did you have to go down to Fort Collins?
No, I'm in Cheyenne today.
Okay, nice. Gotcha. Yeah, I never know. Do you guys, some people, I guess Cheyenne has pretty good hospitals. I just know some people drive down to the Front Range to see just better doctors, better facilities.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're pretty great here.
That's good. Plus you don't have to go to Colorado, right? Deal with that. Did you grow up in Wyoming?
No, I didn't.
Okay, go ahead.
I grew up in Seattle, Washington. My husband grew up in Wyoming, and he was a Wyoming boy through and through. I couldn't get him to move anywhere else.
Couldn't get him anywhere. Wow. So did Wyoming grow on you over the years?
Over the years, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're still sticking around for winter, so I'm pretty impressed with that.
No, I'm not. I think I'm going to go to my brother's for a month in like March.
Oh, okay. I don't blame you.
But,
I don't blame you. Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing it wears on you. But I'm the same. I grew up in Sheridan and graduated from Wyoming, and yeah, now we actually buy properties all across Wyoming. So couldn't get enough of my house, and yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'll jump in here. So thank you for meeting Colton out there. First off, beautiful house and beautiful property in general. We love that. Just love the area and the space you have out there. So yeah, and then I know I guess really quick to recap, are you just kind of waiting for the weather to warm up to sell, or what's kind of the timeline? You mentioned next spring.
I just want another winter. I want another Christmas in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. The grandkids are fully, adamantly saying, Nana, don't sell your house.
Really? They want to keep it, or?
Yeah, my grandkids, this is where they grew up.
Okay.
So, not in my house, but on the holidays and stuff, which that part's kind of, but the house is big. I'm getting less mobile, and I probably should have a ranch house like our house before this one was. So I don't know. I'm just, like I can't remember the woman's name that called me, but I'm not guaranteeing anything right now.
Yeah.
I just want to see what my options are, and if it makes sense for me and that kind of stuff, but definitely not before spring.
Okay.
If I decide to go with this.
If you do. Okay. Totally fair. Yeah, no, I get it. It's a beautiful home, like I said, and there's no, I don't know. That's the thing about us. Like we've been, as I mentioned, kind of my background, I've been buying across Wyoming, and I don't know, I would say early on, I would like get impatient of like, oh, come on, it's now or never. But it's like, I've just found that things come back around, and we're planning to be in business in a long time for Wyoming. So anyway, no worries. If it works out next spring, awesome. But if not, definitely no pressure on our side.
Okay.
But I think it might be too early to talk numbers, just because if we're waiting till next spring, because things might change, and especially with the election and interest rates. But my kind of thought is, would it be helpful for you? Like, let's play this out. Let's say next spring, your kids don't decide to buy the house from you, and you get the green light to sell it. Would it be helpful to basically just, because what we do is typically on a house like this that doesn't need a bunch of work, or maybe just needs minimal work, what we do is essentially, I'm gonna try to find an end buyer to flip it to, but I'll do some work on it, and I just manage the whole, like basically me and you would agree to a number. If you're like, hey Casey, okay, it's probably not $1 million, but $1 million is a nice round number. If you're like, Casey, if I got $1 million and anything you sell it above that, you'd be fine with, like that's typically how we set up deals. But does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But for me to make kind of an educated decision on this, I think I need numbers.
Okay.
So just so I can look and see if that makes sense.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually, you know what, you probably have, I'm sure you're driving now. So Judith helped me out with this right before our call. She sent a quick offer. It's a letter of intent, right? It's just a 1-page number with, I think, exactly what you're looking for. So what we said is, you probably should just ignore the first option. It's our cash offer, which I just do it because I like to give people multiple options. But in your case, I almost didn't put it in there, but it's kind of standard. So the cash offer is a lot lower than you want, but I would focus on option 2. So option 2 is I put 925,000. And as long as we had a little bit of time to market it, which I put like a 60-day closing, which if you're not selling until next spring, we got more than enough time. So the number we kind of came up with is 925, but depending on when you wanted to move forward, that could change just a little bit. Is that fair?
Yeah, that was, kind of in the realm. What was your cash offer?
You sure?
Just at it. Yeah.
You're not gonna.
Driving.
You're not gonna.
Hold on to the steering.
Okay. You won't. Yeah. You can't slap me through the phone. But we did 588,000. But that's just it's just a simple calculation. We're like, hey, we can. Yeah. Anyway, so it's on there.
Yeah.
But and if
no.
yeah, exactly. I totally understand. But yeah, that's why I figured this option where, again, and the major difference between this and the cash offer is this just allows me, okay, so if I were to go do the cash offer and flip the house, right, then I got to go pay title fees twice. I got to go pay agents twice. I got to pay the lending, like I got to tie up a ton of money. So I have obviously my cost of capital, and then holding costs, all that adds up. So that's why I love to do this other option, right? Where I call it just a standard option with ability to market it, because that allows me to go find a buyer, and then I can, like, if we need to do minor repairs or I need to help you clean it, or sounds like you might go visit somewhere warmer, like we could actually help stage it, do whatever we need to do to get this sold for top dollar, right? But if I can go find the end buyer, that's what allows me to go pay up to $925,000, right? Versus if I have to flip it, there's just way more risk and there's way more cost in the flip. And I'd rather you make that money, right? Rather than pay that to the title company and my lender and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So why would you, I mean, with the 925, why would you, you would still have to do the title and all that garbage?
We would once, right? But I just want to do it once. But if I do the cash offer, yeah, because we make cash offers all the time, and that's why most people, I mean, if it's a different situation where they need all the cash, but when I do a cash offer, I've got to pay all the title fees. I go in and fix it. I go do all these repairs and tie up all my money, right? And maybe that's 30 days, maybe that's 90 days, whatever it is. And then I got to go pay it again. I got to go pay an agent, title fees, all that stuff again at closing. Does that make sense? So it's not very efficient.
Yeah.
Unless people have to have the money, right? But I'm assuming in people like your situation, they don't need all the money right away. So they're like, yeah, I could wait 60 days and I would much rather keep the extra money, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. Those are good. What other questions?
I'm thinking, and it's my grandchildren who want me, and their ages 18 to 4, who don't want me to sell the house. It's not my kids so much.
Oh, okay.
They talk about you're going to have to pay capital gains on the house. And yes. I said, well, either I pay them or you guys pay them. And that's coming out of your inheritance, basically. And because my husband's been gone 2 years now. And so it's like they're not going, there may be cash left, if I die quickly. But if I don't, that is supplementing my income. So you never know about that. But so their inheritance is the house, basically.
I gotcha.
So,
let me ask you this: is this your primary residence, though?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So majority of those capital gains will be canceled out, right? Because but I think it's capped at 500,000. Have you looked into that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So the way the IRS tax code work is you're up to 500,000, I believe. It depends if there's one for married filing jointly, and with yours I'm not sure how yours will work, but yeah, it's up to, you know what though? It might just be, I think it's for single, it's up to 250,000, and then it's 500. So basically if the gain was 250,000, you don't pay any capital gains on that because you lived in the house, right?
Yeah. But it should be more than that. I do owe a mortgage.
Got it.
And so, because I was supposed to go first, not my husband. So don't make wild plans like that. They may not work the way you think they're going to.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyway.
Okay. But I'm glad you bring that up, because the only other thought is we do this. So I do this on deals all the time where they have the same concern about capital gains. And what we do is we basically buy the property on like an installment or a contract for deed, where we pay it off over time, right? And that way you don't realize all the gains, you realize it over time. So that could be another really good way to do this if you're interested. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but if the capital gains is a concern, I could actually pay probably more than the 920 number. I gotta go back to my email. I could potentially pay more than that if we paid it over time. And then it actually is better for you because you don't pay all the capital gains. Because here's another piece of, again, you're probably rattling off way too much on IRS tax code for you today, but you didn't realize you're going to talk to a CPA, did you?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm not a CPA. I'm definitely not a CPA, but we do so many deals, and I just like structuring things that help me and help them. But anyway, up to $40,000 per year is the capital gains does not kick in until it's more than 40,000. So under 40K, there's no capital gains paid. So if we stretch that out over however many years you want to do, you could actually avoid the capital gains that way too. Could be another benefit.
Yeah, I'm wondering what my children would, and my children, you know, I'll take their advice, but I'm not senile, and so it's my decision to make.
Yep.
But I wonder how they would feel about, you know, not getting a lump sum.
Yes,
You
but
know, if you spread it out and they're only getting, $5,000 a year or something, that's not going to benefit them.
yeah, money,
I mean,
money now versus
Yeah.
money later. I get it. Yep.
yeah, so I'm not sure about that option. It probably sounds better for capital gains, but at first I was thinking, oh my gosh, my youngest daughter is an attorney, and she said, Mom, you'll have to pay capital gains on what, after you pay off your mortgage, and, you have to pay capital gains on all that money. So, I was like, no, I'm not giving the government that much money. That's crazy. You work hard all your life and you have to give away.
Yes.
I mean, I think that just stinks. But
Yeah.
It's a reality. Either I'll have to do it or the kids will have to do it.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of things here too. Like I know I got to look at the inherited, but here's the other thing I would say is we wouldn't do it over 30 years, right? It might just be, we break it up over the next 5 years or maybe over 10 years, especially depending on your planning. I mean, this is I was going to say the beauty of it, but it's also maybe whatever you want to call it, but right. But I guess the estate planning, right? If you're thinking like, hey, if this got paid off at 5 years or 10 years, then that kind of has synergy with what you're planning with your will and everything. Who knows? There could be a benefit to avoid these capital gains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That part I'll have to think about more.
Yes. Okay.
And, because also, moving from here, I have to find something else. I don't believe I'm going to buy anything. I think I'll just rent. But I'm used to a bigger home, and I can't see myself. Well, I could downsize to like 2,500 square feet instead of 52, but I can't see myself downsizing much more than that. So
yeah,
I don't know. So I may need some of the cash, before the kids get it.
Yep.
I'm not sure about that either. See, I'm not sure about anything. That's what's stressful for me, because I'm just not sure. But so tell me the benefits of doing it this way, say for the 925. Tell me the benefits of that for me. What does that get me out of having to do? Because we sold a house twice, I guess we've sold houses. And when we bought this house, our house sold in 3 days. I don't imagine that this house is going to sell in 3 days.
Yes, because it's good question. So here's what I would say. Yeah, houses at that price point, especially in this market, they gotta be like perfect, right? Or it's gotta be the perfect buy. Now, they don't have to be perfect, but you gotta find the perfect buyer. So what I would recommend is like, we could figure out a number that works for both of us. And then, especially if we're gonna be traveling, I would recommend like we would get it staged and prepped and just do some of the small things. So I'm sure you've done great to be in this position, but some people don't want to deal with the contractors and the staging and just the little things that go with it. Or even some people just don't want to deal with negotiating with a bunch of sellers and dealing with repairs. Like we just do it all the time and we just build that into our costs. So the benefit to you is if you're like, yeah, Casey, 925,000 seems fair to me. And if I got that, I'd be tickled pink. And if that's the case, then I'm going to run, obviously we've run our numbers to make sure it works for us. So it's really the easy option. It's the easy button, if you will, versus, you could go list it and see how it goes and kind of go through that whole process, which you had before. But I do think we could sell it for a higher price if we do those little things. You know what I mean? Like the little touch-ups and I know Colton said it's in great shape, but there's probably some little things we could do to really find that perfect buyer.
I think there are. This summer I had some outside work done and it's pricey and so I didn't do it all.
Yep.
I did. And then inside, 2 bathrooms need solid surface countertops, and I know that. I replaced them in the master bedroom and stuff. And well, before my husband passed away, I mean, we were doing the kitchen, the countertops, and the new backsplash and stuff. So, and I realized that everything is expensive, and I've thought of things that, well, that would look really good, but besides finding someone who will do it for a decent cost, some of the ideas I have, that's hard. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm thinking, I don't know, I've tried to get a lot of stuff out, and sort through, and my granddaughter and I have, but it's still a progress in motion.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
So.
No,
anyway.
I'm with you. And here's you reminded me of this, right? We do enough flips across the state that I've just have my own full-time crew. They're actually out of Laramie, but that just helps us too. We can get things priced better, and my margins are just better than most other people. So, because I'm with you, it's like any contractor that's worth any salt is super pricey, right? Especially on a high-end house where it's like you got to get somebody who really knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So if you put money in, say like in March when I'm gone, and you put money into the house, what kinds of things is that on your thing, or you're not going to tell me until I sign on the bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to break that down if you wanted to know, but typically I can tell you're detail oriented. A lot of people we work with are like, hey, how much am I getting and when can I expect it? So that's why that's a very simple offer. But yeah, I'd be happy to walk you through like, hey, we're planning to do this, this, and this. And I'm sure that'll help you kind of see why, or it'll probably tell the story of, right? Like why, because you're probably asking yourself, what's in it for me, right? Because what's in it for me is if we do those little things in my cost and we could sell it for obviously more than $925, that's how I make money.
Okay, so the $925, you guys put money in it. If you sell it for $1 million, you get above $925, and I get the $925.
Yes. Yep. And you're
correct.
Exactly. And $925 is net for you, right? You're not paying any closing costs, any agents, like that's all going to come out of my side, right? So yeah, I might try to sell it for $1 million, and then I'm going to pay an agent and pay marketing and pay a buyer's agent and pay the closing costs. And I've worked all that stuff into my numbers.
Okay. All right.
These are good questions. I could tell you're very thoughtful compared to a lot of the people who do this. They just kind of like, I don't know. They don't pay attention to the details. But then again, when you don't pay attention to the details, then a month later, when we're going through this, they're like, hey, what about that? What about this? And it's like, well, I appreciate when people ask on the front end.
Yeah, well, and like I said, my daughter is an attorney. My husband was an attorney, and I wish I would have talked to him about selling the house before.
Yeah. All good. And that's okay. And you know what? So I might do this. We sent you a little 1-page PDF, Judith did. I'm going to probably resend it. And I like to give people 2 options. I know the cash option is not good for you. So what I might do is I might kind of outline how it would work with the capital gains, because I know I talked about a lot when I was going through that. So I'm going to resend this with 2 options, the 925 one I've been talking about, and then I'll send another one which would be higher than 925. I got to rerun numbers. And then I'll just explain, like, for example, there might be a balloon payment within 5 years. And again, all this is negotiable, right? You might go back to your family and they'll be like, hey, or you guys might talk together over the holidays and just say, hey, you know what? To avoid capital gains, it's worth stretching this out 5 years, for example, and to get a higher purchase price, right? Mm-hmm. But I'll outline that one for you, and then you could share it with your daughter and anybody else. And yeah, there's no rush on our side. Just let us know any feedback as you start to some of this starts to kind of come into picture for you.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that sounds reasonable. I'd still like to maybe have you go through the things on the house. I mean, for me, I'm curious to see if anything that you came up with was the same that I've come up with.
Okay.
Because that's what I did. I tell the kids, well, I need to do this. It'll help the house sell better.
Yeah.
And the kids have not been agreeing with some of my choices, but I didn't care. I made them anyway.
Yeah.
And
you need some ammunition. I got you.
Yeah. But yeah, so if also at some point you could do that, and I understand I'm not gonna and do them all because I don't want to take that much more cash out, and I don't want to mess with it myself. So, but anyway, so I'm not gonna double cross you somewhere. I just need, I think, all the information I can get on all the options so that I can make a decision. And I'll talk to my children about it. But like I said, and they would want to know all the ins and outs, but the three of them know, and they all live here in town. I mean, the three of them know that I've been talking about selling because I'm not as mobile and as I was even a year ago. And I said at that time, 2 years ago when my husband passed away, I think I can't think about selling it right now. But if I can't go up and down the stairs, even with difficulty is all right. But if I think I'm going where I'm not going to be able to go up and down the stairs, why would I stay in this big house?
Yep.
To just stay on the main floor. So I've been honest with them about that. And I think that whatever decision I make, they will be all for it. And then we'll just go from there. And if it looks like this is the right choice for me, it makes sense for me to, when I'm out of the house for a month, for you guys to come in and do that.
Yeah.
Instead of my being there. And I've always said, I'd love to have a stager come in here. And so, I mean, I don't have any problem with that. Anyway, that's where I stand right now. I am leaning closer.
Got it. Okay. Well, perfect. Well, I know pressure, like I said, we'll be here. And the nice part about this LOI, which I'm gonna resend, make sure you share the new one with your children, but they can, it's got links to like our website, so you guys could see some videos and testimonials. So you could just go on and see our reviews. Because that's going to be the other thing, right? Like there's a lot of people that do this and they don't do it the right way. So I would encourage you they can go do their own background on our company. So anyway, just give you and them the peace of mind that you're working with somebody who's done this before.
Okay.
Yeah, so that sounds good. Let me know if you have any questions, but I'll work on this over the weekend, kind of get you an updated LOI, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Sounds good, Casey.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, have a great one. All right, bye.
Okay.
You're all good, Ernie. No worries. I got it muted. It's so weird that I pressed mute all and then I guess it just times out. But anyway, okay. Tommy, raise your hand, man. Tommy, you got a question on the call?
Hey, Casey. Sorry I was late to the training. I just wanted to recap on Novation and the steps and how it actually is going, because I thought Novation was basically everything stays in title, put together a contract, and you do the renovation, and then at the end you sell and you get your money and the seller gets their money. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of it. Yeah. And then maybe Tommy, I think I'll summarize this call maybe and kind of hopefully drive the point home for everybody. So you guys can kind of see how I walked through that. Actually, that I probably couldn't have staged that any better. From the questions that lady asked, like that was the perfect call to explain Novations. And, I was actually not expecting that. I was expecting that call to more than likely be like, hey, this house is good to go. I'm just going to go sell with my agent. But she was very curious. And honestly, it's almost like I promise that was not planned. That was raw, but that was good. But yeah, you guys could kind of see how I pitched it and how it benefits her, right? And who knows, like I that one might cross the line of, if I'm going to go put 20,000 into that thing to sell it, then I'm going to have the conversation with her, say, hey, if I'm going to put 20,000 in, we're going to need to transfer the deed to me because I need to be protected. At the same time, I could tell I'm dealing with a pretty professional person, but again, playing devil's advocate, if something happened to her and she passed away and we were in the middle of a contract, that could be a complete mess. Yeah, I'm probably not going to put too much renovations into that house. But you guys could see the other part is I was trying to explain, like, what value am I bringing, right? Like, she asked it. She's like, well, why would I do this? And that's why I was trying to show her the little benefits. So anyway, any other kind of questions, guys, on how I was framing that up? I know I saw a couple questions in the chat about the 40-year or about like the depreciation. That's like a very complicated thing and there's all these other different tax things. I just wanted to plant the seed of like, because guys, here's the way I think of it. I just try to plant a seed with that seller. So to get them thinking, because somebody like that is sophisticated. Again, the attorney brother, attorney son, attorney former husband. So she's going to go talk to a CPA and the right professionals, right? So I want to plant the seed of like, hey, go ask that person, hey, what if I sold this over time and I kept somebody asked this earlier, but if we kept our payments below 40,000, at least the principal payments, she wouldn't pay any taxes on that each year, and she'd be able to kind of defer that tax perspective, right? So rather than guys getting too much into the weeds of like, oh wait, how does it work on married filing jointly, married, all these different tax questions, it's like, just plant the seed, let them go talk to their CPA, and it's also going to build credibility, right? Because then when they go to talk to their CPA, he's going to affirm some of the things I said if he knows what he's doing. Not all CPAs are created equal, but that should kind of help us build even more trust. And then she'll come back and she'll probably be like, okay, talk to my CPA. This is what we need to do. Go ahead. Question. I'll let you go, Cynthia.
Yes. Could you clarify that real quick, what you were just saying? The tax benefit, the stair-stepping, the 40,000, what were you saying right there? Can you say that part again?
Yeah, and you know what I should do is just share. I put this on all of my LOIs just to put it in perspective. Yeah, this is actually
so that's in the LOI?
Yeah, it's on most of my templates, which it wasn't on the one that I pulled up though, guys. So let me see if I can find another one.
So the tax part, because you're trying to tell them you're gonna get your profit is going to be slashed because you're going to have to give that large chunk. She's going to be able to, out of 975, 500 is going to go without taxes, but that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you explain that part to her? If it's 900,000, 500, she's not going to have to pay taxes on, but that still leaves 475,000. How are you explaining that you're going to break that up?
Yeah, and that's where it'll get in the weeds, but it's a little more complicated because it's what she bought it for. It's called her basis, right? So if she bought that house.
Oh, the basis. Okay.
Yeah, right. So you subtract it. Let's say she bought it for 500. I sell it. She sold it to me for $1 million. That's a $500,000 gain. So of the 500, 250 is tax free. So what we'll talk about is the other 250, and we might break that 250. In theory, again, I got to talk to a CPA, but in theory, if you broke out that 250 to be paid off over 6 years, it'd be 60,000. 6 years times 40K is 240,000. You could actually break that out, right? And she'd pay in 6 years, she'd have all the money from the house, pay zero in capital gains. In theory, that's how it would work.
Are you saying that okay, so you're going to sell the house, you're going to make from 975 to $1 million. Let's say you make 25,000 on it, according to her, the example you guys talked about. You're gonna still take the stair stepping. You're gonna be in charge of that.
Yeah, that's where it gets. This is a lot easier, guys, on multifamily because it's multifamily investors. Like, okay, I'm thinking about my end buyer, right? Do I want to go buy that house and pay $40,000 a year? No. If it was a multifamily, it would be a lot easier because I could justify it, right? Because it'd be cash flowing. But my end buyer is a retail buyer. So what I would do is to be very complicated, but I would be trying to find I'm going to structure this deal to where I would basically be buying it on seller finance. And then I'm going to go try to find my end buyer who maybe doesn't qualify for that big of a house and they need to be seller financed, but they're going to make payments, right? And then I would go basically wholesale that or sell that to somebody. It definitely gets complicated on a house that size, but honestly, there could be a lot of value to somebody who does want to have it seller financed to them and doesn't want to go borrow from a bank and buy $1 million house. Or maybe they're paying cash and they're just going to finance it for them. Honestly, at that price point, it's probably a lot of cash buyers.
Okay. Okay.
I'm kind of combining. That would morph that would take it from a Novation into a seller finance deal if we did that, right?
Who's going to seller finance the buyer? The buyer is going to, she is going to seller finance it, and she's going to get, and that 500,000 chunk, she's going to get that over the 10 years, right?
Bingo, yeah. But it might be.
She won't need to, you said, because if she base bought it at, if she base bought it at 500, and she gets 250 credit, then she gets 250 that she needs to only take 47 a year, right? Is that right?
Right. Yeah, okay. Here, I got something for you
That's
guys.
right. Now I understand.
Now check this out. You guys will like this, okay? All right. I'm going to write this out for you guys. Equals 1. All right. So if you guys can see this all, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. You guys can look at me for a sec. Okay. This is actually a really good illustration, which we're going down a rabbit hole, but I'll go with it. So
it's too white. I can't see it. It's too white.
Oh, you're right. It's too bright. All right. Yes. All coming in here. Hold on. That is.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, there.
You can see it? Okay.
750K minus 250K.
Yeah, so guys, the
Oh,
750, if I were gonna, this would be I forget a SubTo calls it, if it's you guys will know, if somebody can put it in the chat. But essentially, I would go, if I were gonna buy it, but ultimately I'm gonna wholesale this, I'm not gonna buy this house, but let's say it was me, I would say, all right, I'm gonna get a loan for 75% of the value, right? So bank will give me 750,000, right? So that's where the 750 comes from. And actually, as I was doing the math of this 750, 500K was her basis. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
500K was her basis.
Right.
250K was the was
Profit.
basically
Tax.
that was what is tax free, right? Because it's
Right.
okay. So that adds up to 750. This other 250, this would be the down payment, right? What you
Right.
could do is you could structure the down payment to be paid over 6 years times 40K equals 240K, right? We're not quite there after 6 years, but we're close. So you see how that might be a cool way to structure that, right? So now she doesn't pay any taxes on that deal because it was all tax free, the 750.
Right.
And then the seller loves it because they finance their down payment. I mean, that's a pretty awesome deal, actually.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yes. Okay, that's one question. Then I had another question. I just had someone, a real estate agent, respond to me on a deal, and she said the parents have died. The daughter owns the property now. I looked at the property too, and it looks like the cabinets need some upgrading. They're still oak cabinets. The house is priced a little bit above market. It looks like it's got some old curtains and stuff around. So that needs to be redone, maybe a little bit on the floors. Let's say it was a novation. I don't know contractors in that area. When you're doing novations, is that the key that you have to have in place? Because I've had some contractors, take advantage of me. I just had to go to court with one and I got a judgment, but what am I going to do with the judgment? He's a contractor, he's independent. How do you do that?
Yeah, there's a lot of value. Okay, I'll give you the caveat, guys. There are a ton of people who novate that don't do any work, or maybe they just go hire a cleaner, right? And they still novate, right? But if work needs to be done, that's where I feel like I could separate myself when I'm doing innovation, is I have crews and I could trust them. And you're right. Like I would not, I would be cautious if it was like a deal in a market I've never invested in. I had to go find the contractors. I would definitely be cautious to do it.
With this lady that you're talking to, are you going to involve contractors?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I'm thinking after that, okay, and going into that one, I wasn't expecting that, but based on the fact that it does look like there's some value add in that house, yeah, I would. So I would just, and as you could hear, she wanted to know, she's like, what are your guys going to do? Which I think I'm actually going to invest the time to send my contractor over there to be like, hey, go price these things out. It's going to make and guys, just to be fully transparent, like those numbers on that LOI, we did not spend more than 5 minutes thinking about those numbers. We just spit them out there to get the conversation started, right? But then I could go refine that by having my contractors go bid that. Good questions. Any other guys questions on that call or that deal? Because next, okay, so a couple things we could go. I'm going to go to the no one left behind challenge calls, which could be a lot of agent calls. But does anybody have any calls though that they have that they think would be good for the biggest priority? Be if you have a call you think I could pitch an Novation on, I'd love to do it. Or if it's just any other call other than agent calls, I'm going to save those for no one left behind. But anybody have a lead or a deal they want help on?
I have a question.
Oh.
So have you ever heard of ListSpark or Spark Listing or something like that?
Is it a flat fee listing service?
I don't know.
Or is it a
Like
list?
they always say, well, just send an offer in through the email. They don't have agents that take and talk.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've heard of it. I haven't used it, but it's probably similar to List with Freedom.
Okay, because I was trying to make offers on a house and just couldn't do it because I couldn't find anything out.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea. I would give it a shot. Okay. I know Mike's got 15 minutes with the agent. Okay, cool. All right, Mike's got one. So for sure at 1:30, I'm going to be calling one of these agents all set up. Okay, let's see. Here's a link to purchase subcontracts. I have a GC. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, there's a contractor to potentially help with. That's good. Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Guys, anybody raise your hand if you guys have any deals or questions or like a novation, or maybe you got a deal. You're like, hey, how do I apply a novation to this? Anybody have one? Thanks, Ken. Appreciate you, man. Always happy to help, man. You guys have good input. Love, we still got 60 people going strong, and we're 2 hours and 15 into this. Okay, let me really quick, guys, what you guys are thinking, if you have a deal, don't wait to bring it up. Bring it up, just throw it in the chat. And if I don't see it, circle back to it, because I'm not ignoring you. I just might miss it. But I want to try just one other call in Wyoming on a deal that I could potentially pitch Novation, because I want, the only thing I haven't quite got to show you guys is like pitching it like completely, like completely from scratch, right? Just kind of framing up one of these and show you how I do it. So I got one lined up right here. I'm going to try. We'll see if they answer. Okay, so the quick notes on this one was we offered her a $225,000 Novation back in July. She wants $250,000, asked if we could meet in the middle, and we're going to check with it. We're checking with our agent. So ideally, I'd like to talk to my agent before I go into this offer, but I'm just going to call it for you guys. And because a lot of times on Novations, we kind of get in the middle, right? Like she's now thrown 250, we were 225, and now we got to. Hey, Dana, this is Casey Gregerson. How are you?
On the phone with insurance company, but I think my voicemail was full.
Oh, good. Yeah, thanks for, call me right back. I'll be here.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
You.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, I hope she does answer, guys, because, sorry, I framed that up as I was going to actually go into like a right from scratch first time I talked to a seller, but this would be a little bit more down the line, because ultimately, guys, I'm talking to the process, right? You talk to a seller, direct to seller. Again, we're not talking direct to agent. You kind of plant the seed on like, hey, I could give you a cash offer. I could give you a Novation offer. Here's the pros and cons of both. And then my process is, all right, let me get my partner over there so I can estimate repairs. I can get the exact, what I think I could sell it for when I flip it, all that information, right? So that's that step. The next step is we get back on the phone with this person after we've got all the information, just like I did with that lady there, right? The last lady I talked to in Cheyenne that had the $1 million house. And I kind of start going through and figuring out numbers, right? But then and then we'll send out an LOI. So the kind of last step before a contract is they'll come back and they'll be like, okay, for example, this lady's like, I need 250. It's only going to work at 250. My offer was 225. So now we got to go. I talked about this in the beginning of, now we got to figure out, can we make that middle ground work? And if I can get this lady to call back, you're going to see how I negotiate. And what I'm going to say is, more times than not, I'll be like, hey, I can try to get you 237.5, like meet in the middle, right? I'm going to be transparent with her that like, there's no guarantees, but the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go invest my time, and I wouldn't go invest my time if I didn't think there was money to be made by you and me on this deal. So I think it's worth the time. And that way I'm teed up, because let's say that she agrees to it. We go put it on the market, on the MLS. We've got our Novation agreement, but let's say we're not getting any showings. And this is a question I saw earlier in the chat, right? Let's say 2 weeks go by, no offers, right? One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get feedback from all those people who go see the house in the meantime. And I'm going to get that feedback, and I'm going to be sharing it with her. And if after 2 weeks or 4 weeks, there's no offers, I'm going to be like, hey, here's the feedback from all the sellers. We can either just terminate this contract, or should we talk about a price reduction? Would you be able to take less? And when you provide the feedback to these sellers and just are transparent with them and keep them looped in, then they'll start to make concessions. They're like, you know what? Yeah, maybe we should drop it. And then plus you've built trust with them. They see that you're working hard on it, and you're really, it is like a partnership, right? You're working together to get this house sold for as much as you can. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys kind of the negotiation part, because sometimes you're going to have to, on Novations, you're going to have to retrade every once in a while. But if you could set expectations the right way with your seller on the front end, it can make a huge difference. All right, I got one other one here before we go to, I know I got I got no one left behind here in 10 minutes. Mead Creek. Ooh, 417 Mead Creek. All right, this one's in Sheridan. This is where I grew up, so I know this market really well. Let's call this one. And I'll tell you guys, I'll give you, as it's ringing, I'm gonna give you a breakdown of this one. Shot in the dark if they'll answer, but it's worth a shot. Nice, so it's a modular home on 3 acres, detached shop. It's worth around 500K. They really just want an offer. They're not motivated. They have no plan moving forward. Don't know if they're buying, but want something bigger. Not behind or struggling.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
So the problem is on this one, there's not a ton of motivation, but honestly, you guys are, if they can answer, it's still a good rep, because it's always good to still talk through. If it's direct to seller, it's always worth talking to. I would not probably want to talk to an agent in the situation where there's just no motivation to sell, because it's kind of a struggle. But
has been forwarded to voice.
Okay, they're not going to pick up, but Got one other one for you guys, but feel free, guys, to pop it in the chat if you got any deals you guys want to call or want me to call or answer on one of your guys' deals you're working. This one's in Rock Springs. All right, one more time.
Hello.
Hey, Joyce, this is Casey Gregerson. Give me a call. Hey, yeah, I'm with Wild Houses. Actually, you talked to my assistant, Sam, about the property in Rock Springs. You guys are selling. Hey, you got a quick minute? I won't take too much of your time.
That's fine.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like you and your husband, you guys are ready to move to Oklahoma, huh? Or move back to Oklahoma. Oh, gotcha. So you're gonna do that in Rock Springs? Got it. Okay. Is that so? You thinking it might push back, wanting to move to like next spring, or how long you thinking?
Idea.
Not sure.
Cannot answer right now.
Got it. Okay, so kind of paused indefinitely, huh? That's okay. No worries at all. Got it. Cool. Okay, yeah. Well, no worries. It sounds like we should maybe follow up with you in a couple months. I'll see if anything changes. But at this point, no plans to move or sell the house.
Excuse me, that's correct.
Okay. All good. Okay.
See, my husband's been in the hospital in Utah twice so far.
Got it.
We just didn't know what was going to go on.
Yeah.
But we've got some medical issues that, and I've got some as well. So it'd probably be better for us to stay right here where we're at right now. Because my daughter-in-law is busy subbing and raising 2 kids, and I don't know all. She's busy too.
Yeah.
And my son works out of town, so.
Understood.
So it's just, well, we've got the help we need, the CNA help and nursing help that we need. So, and that's what we didn't have in Oklahoma too. So.
Got it. Okay. No worries. Well, you know what? Let's stay in touch. And then, I save my number. I think you got our number saved. And then, we'll follow up in a couple months with you. And is it, what's the best way to follow up? Text message or email, or what do you prefer?
Text message would be great.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll do. And we'll just stay in touch that way. And wish you definitely best of luck on the health. I hope things turn around for you guys.
Thank you. That's what we're hoping.
Okay.
We're praying for healing, I'll tell you.
Okay. Well, great. Best of luck, Joyce, and have a great weekend. Okay.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cool. Well, as you guys get to see, you get to see running a direct-to-seller company firsthand, right? All about follow-up and working leads, and they're not ready now, but it's a long game, right? And I will just say this, guys, don't ever get discouraged in what you're doing, right? I could show you my CRM now is full of, if I pull it up right now, I'm looking at it, I've got 384 leads, which is probably way too many, but I've got 384 like active leads we're working, from new leads to contact made to appointment set to due diligence to offers made all the way to under contract, right? But a lot of times people, and this doesn't include my warm leads that are just like that lady, I'm going to move them into my warm leads and we're going to stay in touch. But guys, it just takes time, right? But it never ceases to amaze me. Like these leads just pop up. Perfect example, one in Sheridan, this guy called me and I was working with him for actively, like really working this deal, and he wasn't ready, right? But then all of a sudden he calls me and he's like, hey Casey, I'm ready to sell. And he's ready to sell at a price that's really good and we're going to make a great profit. So the key, the key is in the follow-up. But all right, we're ready for this one in Nebraska. So Mike set this one up for us. So we'll frame it up. Mike, I'll let you unmute if you want to frame it up for everybody, and then I'll
happy to. I just sent you the agent phone number and the address of the property on your private, just a direct to you, Casey.
I got it.
So background, this came out of the NOLB. This is a scenario where I had a great conversation with the agent. We spent probably 15 minutes on the phone. Great rapport. He's a super, super nice guy. This is a young couple. I researched the owners. They're probably married just a couple of years. Looks like they got over their head. House listing price is $400K. Mortgage balance is $375. And he said they're getting a divorce. They're not speaking. The husband is living in the house. The wife has moved out. He said the husband's basically, he's ready to just let it go to foreclosure and bail on it. And he's like, no, don't. Let me see if I can do something. So we kind of talked, and when he started to talk about that, I really shared just a lot of empathy. Great for you to try to help him out. This is a tough situation. And he said, I've seen offers like yours before, and this was a SubTo offer. and it's not ideal. The PropStream had their interest rate at 4%. He said it's 6.6, so which isn't ideal. But he said they don't have any equity. And he said, I said, well, one thing with us, I said you can avoid the buyer agent commission. And we're getting close to ending the call. And I said, let me just run something by you, Oscar. I said, just in the spirit of helping this couple get out of a bind, are you willing to adjust your commission to help them out? And he said, absolutely. I'll do whatever I can to help this couple out because they're just in a rough spot. So I actually researched the owners. He installs security systems, super young guy. I bet they're probably 22, 23 years old. The wife she's an assistant manager to Starbucks. So, and the house is nice, right? It's just a couple years old if you're looking at it on Zillow, right? And you kind of look at it, they're probably got married, they were excited, went to an open house. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. We can afford the payment. And then everything, debt, everything that comes with it, right? So this his mindset here is, can we help this couple get out of a bind? So this is not going to be a, negotiation with a hard ass real estate agent, right? This is let's work collaboratively on how we might be able to make this work for them. So he told me their payment's $3,000. I tried to get the PITI. He hasn't responded to that request, but I did just text him and he said he's really ready, sitting there. He's ready for your call.
Cool. So payment is $3,000. You just don't know if it's everything or?
Well, I'm a little suspect of that number because I didn't get any kind of confirmation. And PropStream has it at 4%. That's a pretty big, and also like $1,800. So that's a big swing. Usually PropStream is more accurate than that. So I would be inclined to try to get confirmation of that amount, because if it's actually closer to what PropStream has, this can work big time as a SubTo, right? If it's the 3,000 and the 6.6, then, and maybe they refinanced it or something recently, it just hasn't shown up on PropStream yet. So I'd be very interested in that. But yeah, $3,000 payment according to the agent.
Cool. Okay. And then in value 375. And I agree. It's a new construction. Okay, so I'll call this, guys, but a couple things good going forward is it's built in 2021.
Yeah.
2023. Wow.
Yeah, it's new. Yeah.
It's a new house. It's not far from Omaha. So I don't know this area specifically, but yeah.
It's like 45 minutes from Omaha. It's kind of a bedroom community. It's actually, it's just kind of a bedroom community, it looks like.
Okay, sweet. Okay, all right. And yeah, I think the exit, guys, would be a wrap on this just based on the total purchase price. Like Mike told me, it's going to be hard to keep it as a rental, but I definitely think it could be a wrap. 201.61. Okay.
This is Oscar.
Hey, Oscar, it's Casey Gregerson. How are you?
Good. How are you, Casey?
Hey, good. Mike told you to give you a shout today?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, cool, man. Well, cool. Well, actually, me and Mike caught up right before this call. Anyway, so he's got me up to speed. Loved it. First off, I think it's pretty cool what you're doing for these sellers. Sounds like it's a rough, kind of a tough spot, and you were like, hey, what can I do to help you? And at least save. And Mike even went to detail about them potentially thinking about just letting it go to foreclosure. So anyway, pretty cool what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help these kids out, man, that can't get along.
Yeah. Yep. All good. Okay. Well, yeah, let me jump in, man, because I want to start kind of dive into problem solving. Because like I said, Mike got me kind of up to speed. Yeah, I think so. The biggest question is around their payment. Do you have much clarity on like how much their total monthly payment is? I don't know if you had a chance to ask and dig in there.
Yeah, Mike had asked me, and I told him last time I checked with him, which was just like a couple months ago, it was about $3,000 the kid said, Nathan said, the mister. So his payment's right around $3,000, he said, a month.
Got it. And it just seems a little high based on that purchase price, but I heard it was a higher interest rate. Is it right that the interest rate's like above 6, or did he say that?
6.625.
Okay, and maybe that's why it's just so high. But I assume, so that $3,000 must be his taxes, insurance, everything all together.
All together.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think houses like that would rent for in the area?
Be honest, Casey, I ran it, and the rental market around there's probably around $2,800.
Okay.
For a house like that. Could you push it a little bit more? Not sure, to be honest with you. It's got an unfinished basement, so I think $2,800 is something. It's about right. From what I've seen out there.
That's super helpful. Okay, cool. Well, I think, yeah, my kind of thought is, I think Mike talked to you about this too, but if we could keep the money down low, and I guess, sorry, is there any arrears, do you know? Like, are they any payments behind? And it's okay if they are, we could work with that, but.
Because the mister sounds like he's just on the verge of either losing this job or quitting, one of the two.
Okay.
Either way, he's like, hey, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna keep making these payments, you know. He's getting pretty frustrated. He wants to sell it. Anyways, that's where they're at.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's where they're at.
Yes. Okay. Makes sense. So yeah, kind of what I'm thinking is like, we just gotta, and again, like I said, Mike, I think kind of introduced this to you, but we got to keep our down payment as low as possible. And I know, and I appreciate you being willing to be flexible on your payment. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a chance this could work. We would just, yeah. I mean, I'm talking like less than 5,000. I don't know. I got to look at the numbers, right? But let's hypothetically say, let's say that we could cover all the title costs. And you know what? What about this, Oscar? Like I've done this before where, because eventually we're going to resell this when the market kind of rebounds and rates drop down. There's sometimes we could pay I've done this where we pay the commission on the back end when we, maybe within a couple of years, if we resell it, then we would, or you know what? I just thought of this. What if we just use you to sell, like eventually we want to flip this, right? And if we use you when we go to resell it, because we're going to probably hold it as a rental, or what I might do is like a rent to own. But if my people don't perform on the rent to own, I'll probably just go resell it. And then I could just give you the listing. Might be, I don't know if that's helpful, because I'm just being honest with you. It's really hard to put any money down on this. But we could totally, I think, step into the payment. And the beauty of that is we could get this done like, I mean, I might be being too aggressive here based on title companies in Nebraska, but we could potentially get this done before November 1st to where he doesn't have to make his November payment, you know?
That would be very helpful to them. So I tell you what, Casey, why don't you just shoot me over the details of the structure you would ideally like to shoot for.
Okay.
That way I can present it to both of them as soon as possible and make sure that they would be willing to move forward with whatever you have in mind, you know?
Okay. But I'm assuming, and if it's not a deal, then I get it. But I'm assuming if we could just, they don't get any money, but I cover all the closing fees and they could stop making payments November 1st. That's probably what they're looking for at this point, right?
Well, I think the mister would definitely entertain that. The missus is more, for an offer like this, the missus is the one I've been having to work with
Really?
the most because she's, at first, because we've received probably 5 or 6 offers like this since I've listed it. And I think most of it was driven by the seller, the mister, who took the initiative to probably reach out to some companies, you know? So the missus has been really hesitant. She didn't like the idea of keeping the mortgage in her name, but I had a talk with her when your offer came in, and I was like, look, we really don't have, you guys don't want to rent. You can't come into an agreement about renting it. You don't have equity to drop the price. You won't do it for sale by owner. I try to push them to a for sale by owner because I was like, look, I'm trying to help you as much as I can, but my hands are tied to a certain extent. I was like, so I think you guys need I was like, Andrew, I think you really need to consider this offer.
Yeah.
And now she's open to it, you know? She understands that her ex is pretty much on the verge of just giving up and possibly stop making payments. And because that's kind of what he hinted at me.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I'm just worried for you because Nathan has said that he might just stop making payments.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're really asked.
Yeah. And is both the husband and wife, or I mean, sounds like divorce, but are they both on the loan?
Yeah, they're both on the loan.
Okay. You know what I'm thinking, Oscar? Yeah, let me outline this for you. I'll just send a quick little letter of intent so they have something in writing, and I know we sent the original kind of LOI to you, but let me send you something a little bit more specific now that we know some more details. And then my thought is would you think I could get on the phone with all three of them, you, me, and husband and wife? Because I feel like explaining it and exactly what our intent is might help.
Yeah. I think I can definitely get it. So part of this is that the missus would like a call between us, and then she'll probably include her mom as well.
Okay, bring the whole family. Let's just get a big Zoom meeting.
I know, but the conference call with her and the mistress probably out of the question. She's blocked him again. I think she's blocked him a couple times, unblocked him for us to be able to have a conference call. But I think at this point she's just like, I can't do it, Oscar. I blocked them again. I just can't, you know. I'm sorry, you'll have to have separate conversations.
Okay, fair enough. And you know what? Honestly, and maybe it sounds like she's the hurdle. I'd say just get me on the phone with her, right? And then I can explain it. If you sounds like you can get him on board, and then I'll talk to her. And then, and then I could just kind of walk through this. And then the last piece is, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Oscar, but like, if there's some way to get creative with your commission, there's just not a whole lot of money now, but whether it's us listing it when we flip it later or some other arrangement, I'd love for you to still get paid for some of the work. So, and how generous you've been on this deal.
Yeah, I mean, here's the reality of the thing. Whatever you guys can do on the front end, great. Whatever you can do on the back end, even I would appreciate it. But yeah, I understand the situation, and you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna, like I said, I try to push these kids to for sale by owner.
Yeah, that's good perspective.
I try to push them for them to rent it, you know, and hold on to it until the market kind of can bounce back a little bit. But yeah, they're just it's just not working with the other options. So this is the option. So cool. It is what it is.
Nice. Okay. Well, that works. Let us send you something. Me or Mike will send that, and then then I think next step is get me on. I think I just do so many of these. I think I could, if I talk to the missus, I could at least get her to understand it, right? And then we can also talk through what I've seen as far as when people don't accept this and they go the route of the foreclosure, which is going to be worse. So
sure.
And then and I'm sure they'll have lots of questions on, hey, what happens if the loan's in our name? Like those are all the little ones I can answer for them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she would appreciate that very much. So.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Oscar. Well, appreciate the time, man. I'm excited about this one. I mean, not for their situation, but this is exactly what we look for. Deals like this. Okay.
Sounds good, Casey.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye. Okay. Cool. Carlos, I'm going to answer your question, right? So you're saying risky. What if they, after closing, one of them calls the bank and says they already sold the house? So Carlos, typically they won't do that because they just be kind of self-sabotaging themselves because they're still on the loan, and then they'd be getting the due on sale risk called on themselves because they're still kind of in the equation. So I wouldn't worry too much there. My only concern is that we could just make sure we can wrap this. But here's what I'm kind of thinking, Mike and everybody. It's like, I think we could get this with no money down. And honestly, we might be able to just assign it to somebody to where if somebody put $20,000 down and then we could make the $20,000 fee and then they just pay the closing costs. Guys, the closing costs could be very cheap if literally all we're going to do is just sign a deed and get a quick title insurance policy. Like we could keep those costs really low. Yeah, I think this has got a chance. And then if somebody walks into 3,000, I don't know, like I don't think anybody's getting a better rate than that right now. And they're going to put more than $20,000 down, I would assume, on a brand new house like this, unless they're just sitting around vacant on this part of Nebraska where there's a bunch of new houses that are not being sold. But I like it. This one is about as good as I've seen from the No One Left Behind challenge. Any questions, guys?
Do you want me to draft something, or do you have a template you want me to complete with that information you shared with him?
Yeah, I'll send you a template. I'm just trying to think in my head if I've already sent one. It'll be really simple. And I think it's going to be very simple. It's just pretty much, hey, we're taking over your loan. We'll cover the title costs. And then I think you could tell, I mean, he said it in a few words when he said, I was going to let these guys list it for sale by owner and him make nothing. Yeah. So I think we just leave it open-ended, be like, hey, because of this solid you're doing for us, like if we do need to flip this down the road, we'll commit to using you as our agent.
I loved how you brought that in. It's like, we'll pay the commission later if you're okay with that. And I just think his mindset going in is this couple is on the verge of making a very big mistake. And I know where this goes if they do that, and there's nothing good that comes from it. And he really trying to do the right thing. So I think that approach is awesome. Love it.
Yep. Yeah, good question. All right, we got time for one more call while we're waiting on somebody if anybody wants to bring up one. If not, I'll look at my calendar. So Dustin's question, so you're looking for the right to list on MLS. Do you do that yourself or through an agent, or if by yourself, how do you handle showings if you're virtual, right? So Dustin, yeah, we kind of talked about what I do is you could go either way. You could totally go market this yourself, or if you're an agent, you could list it yourself. Or you could third option, pay a flat fee service to list it basically for you. I like to just hand it off to an agent that I know in the market, let them go list it, and then they handle showings and do all that. But if I have done the flat fee service that we're talking about. And then if that was the case, yeah, I would do virtual showings. I'd put a lockbox on it and just let people show it themselves. and work it that way. Again, depending on the market. I might not do that in some areas of Houston, but in Wyoming where people don't even lock their doors, I would be comfortable just doing a lockbox. So in the No One Left Behind challenge, I'm not going to get to all of them today, guys, but I'm going to get through whichever ones I can. So let me just read this one. Actually, I can share my screen again and you guys can see this one. So you can see the background and we'll see if this agent answers. Still got 51 people going strong, guys. I love it. Here we go. You guys are putting in the time. Donna Palasano. So we'll go to Zillow. No offers in 2 months. Property's vacant, new roof, but the basement needs some work. It is not a twin home. They are not paying double mortgages, so it's not a rush. They are not paying. Oh, they must have it free and clear. Less cash offer is a waste of time. They want to cash out. They could be open. They want to pay back roof. There are 2 loans. She has another property that has not received any offers. Okay. All right, let's try this one. Looks like a long shot, but you never know. So Donna, 801-698.
Good afternoon, this is Donna. May I help you?
Hey Donna, this is Casey Gregerson. Giving you a call on the house. Yeah, the one in sorry, I just clicked out of my screen on 1827 East 57050. Yes, you got it. Okay, so I'm actually on a team, and one of my other teammates gave you a call on this one. I know he gave me some of the notes, right? So it looks like been on the market for a while. I guess I'm going to jump in, right? Because I just love to see if we can help you with a kind of a creative offer. I guess let me ask you this. Have you guys had any offers to just take over the mortgage and give them some cash but leave the existing mortgage?
Yeah, no, they don't. They haven't. And they're carrying a second on it as well. They replaced the roof. So they've got that needs to be paid off as well. They are already into another house. It's a family compound. Essentially, it's land with the 2 houses, and they've moved into one family. So,
okay.
Of course, they are carrying a mortgage on it. Nobody likes to make that payment for no reason, but
yeah,
anyway, go ahead.
Makes sense.
I know you guys are a restaurant group. You are interested in it. People like you, but you're tending to, you're in it to make money, so you tend to lowball, and they're not reasonable offers. And I sort of said, write up an offer or even give me a verbal. I don't mind writing verbal till we make a decision and then we write it up.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, totally fair. And no offense taken here. I get it. There's a lot of people, especially, I get it. So let me ask you this. So I'm okay with the second position loan, like, or whatever, HELOC or whatever they did on the roof. But what is the total outstanding balance, do you know, of the first position?
I don't. Nope.
Okay.
I don't get into my clients' finances. I let them work with their own mortgage people or lenders or whatever.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, that's all right. Because here's where I'm going. The reason I ask is, if I know that balance plus the roof, what I could do is my offer, that's how I'm going to make my offer, right? Because I would take over those 2 mortgages. So at least they're not having to carry and make that payment every month. And depending how high that is, I might be able to give them some money up front. It all depends on how much they owe, right? Like, for example.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So would it be, I could put together something like an LOI, and you may have already got like kind of a generic LOI from us, but I could put together something, but it's going to be most effective if I know. And okay, here's the simple thing I need. I just need to know how much they owe between both loans and what their monthly payment is. Because if I have those parameters, then I can figure out, okay, how much can I offer? Because I'm going to turn around and use it as a rental more than likely. And my key is, as long as I can rent it for more than my payment, that's how I make money, if that makes sense.
Right.
Then I don't have to lowball you, right? I could lowball you and give you a cash offer, but I'm going to save you that time. And this is the way to basically get you a full retail price. And we could pay the agent fee as well.
Okay. I'll talk to them and see if they want to deal with this. You know how to figure out market value in an area, and you know how to total, what you want to put into it, what needs to be done, what's already been done, what's the value on the property, and then, come forward. I doubt if this is going to work. I just have had too many people like you do this. Okay, call my clients and say, okay, we'll give you $12,000, to go ahead and move out, let us take over. No, that doesn't work. It's just a waste of my time.
Oh.
Let me find out if my clients want to provide all that information for you. Don't you have access? Can't you pull an abstract and see what's owed?
Yeah, we could get some estimates on it, but let me say, actually, you would just hit on it. What was the reason why those people didn't want to give them $12,000, take over payments? What was the reason why that didn't work?
Because the equity in it is more than that.
you guys just, you want to take over something that's appreciated, 37% in our area, and you don't want to pay that. You want to just get them out of a mortgage. They're not hurting. They're not hurting to get out of a mortgage.
Oh, okay.
You're looking to pick up something where people are desperate to sell, and that's not the position they're in. And
I got it.
We end up insulting them, pissing them off, and I've wasted my time.
Yeah, totally get it. Okay, so here's the difference between, because that's similar to what I would do, but I would give them like a 5-year balloon where I would give them their equity in 5 years, 10 years. That's all negotiable, right? But yeah, I wouldn't expect them to just be like, all right, let me take over your easy math. They owe 200 and I give them, or say they owe 250 and I give them 15K to walk away. I agree, that doesn't make sense. What would I do is I'd give them maybe 15K now, and then the rest of it, we would give it over time.
No, it doesn't work. That's why I told them I wouldn't even be on a phone call with you before, and I didn't know who the hell you were. Somebody called, wanted to see the house, and then they said, well, we'll call you back to show the house. And then I got a meeting notification on my phone. I'm like, I don't know who the hell this is.
Got it.
But you know what?
Yeah, if it's...
I have to legally show them any offer that's made, but I really, this isn't gonna work for them. Okay?
Okay.
You can write up something, send it to me in writing, or give me a verbal on what you are willing to pay. Like I said, you can figure out the market value in that area. You can figure out what's a good price. You're just trying to figure out how little they'll take in profit.
No, I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to do is understand how much their payment is, how much they owe, what's their total payment. Because like I said, if I turn around and rent this and cash flow it, that's how I make money. And then they make the full purchase price. And that's why we do this all the time with people, because they're happy. They sell their house for market value. I'm not asking them to take 50 cents on the dollar. I'm just asking them, can they take money over time? But if they need all the money right now, I agree. It's a moot point, but.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If I get something in writing, I'll present it, but no, I'm not. This is not going to work for this client.
Okay, understood. Okay, I appreciate your time. Thanks. Bye. Okay, 2 payments. Sorry, I didn't catch up with your messages, Mike. 2 payments, 13 with the owners, realtors. Yeah, she convinced she knows everything. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was funny. And I'm you guys have listened to this call. I'm pretty patient when it comes to like difficult agents, but also when they're just being ignorant. That's why I had to call her out at the end, but whatever. So yeah, that one's probably a dead one, probably not worth chasing. But you saw, I kept pushing a little bit. I'm like, okay, because she gave a little bit of we always talk about, if you read the book, Never Split the Difference, the black swan, right? She started to give a little swan where she's like, it wasn't a black swan, but just a little tiny swan where she's like, well, they had an offer for 12,000 down, and then they didn't like that. And I was like, okay, she's talking now. Like, tell me more about that. But anyway, yep. Thanks, Hua. Hua, if you think that was patient, you should have seen the very first episode, I think, or maybe the second one we ever did. This guy just went off on me and started swearing at me and telling me about all these guys, wholesalers, and I'm tired of wasting my effing time on you guys. But anyway, okay, I got 4 minutes. Let's just use the last 4 minutes. Any other questions, guys? Because if I get on a call, then I'll be late to my next one, and I don't want to do that. You guys have any questions?
Just actions on the one with Oscar, Casey. Are you gonna shoot me something, and I'll put it together, a draft together, and you send it over. You send it over.
Yeah, let me. You know what? Yeah, if you have my old template, you go for it. Yeah, I don't want to create a bottleneck on there. So yeah, if you want to just send him the LOI of just whatever his loan balance is, and I would just leave it at that. And now that I think about it, he doesn't really even need an LOI. We just need to talk to the next step is to talk to the wife. Yeah, let's send him something.
Okay, so your LOI template, I'll send him a note, say, give me some times that work for the wife, and I'll coordinate that with you.
Yeah, and then just make sure they know I would just add buyer, we'll pay all closing costs, so they know that. So be like, hey, here's the way, and highlight that we'll close by November 1st. That'd be the big part, so they don't have to make any payments. So those are things.
And will that require getting in touch with an escrow company first, or a title company? Do you have one?
We'll find one. Yeah, it's not too hard. Yeah, we'll find one in Nebraska.
Okay.
Yeah, once we have a chat with them. And we're gonna keep it really simple.
Is that state disclosure or non-disclosure?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Because why don't you just go to find somebody who has PropStream. You can easily use PropWire. PropWire gives that information.
I've got all the data. I've got it all.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll just send that. Do you want to take a look at that first, or I'll shoot a draft, send it to him, copy you, and then you're in the loop?
Yeah, just do that. Honestly, that'd be good.
Cool. Okay, got it. I'll get that here shortly.
Not a problem.
Thanks for making that call.
Likewise, that was a good one. A couple good ones today. Okay, guys. Well, all right. So I got 2 minutes. Any feedback on? Sounds like a lot of energy around. You guys want to see how I do like the fix and flip, like I call the revive method. If I'm doing a novation where I put a bunch of money in, you guys want to hear more about that? How I structure those and negotiate those? Would that be helpful? That's what I thought about. The other one was going to go back to my notes. Top tip, potentially a raising private money one. What was my other one? And underwriting. I did a multifamily underwriting. I probably want to just do a single family underwriting with you guys at some point. Anyway, let me know what you guys can feel free to send me here. Let me put my contact info again. If you guys are on Instagram or Facebook, if you're on Facebook, just go find me, send me a direct message. But the biggest thing is I put a lot of my content on Instagram and YouTube. So definitely go check out those websites, guys. And yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Okay, last one I'll say, guys, I'll say it at the beginning, but we're going to do the challenge again. Hey, I think I'm going to go back through these comments, but I forget who it was, brought like 2 or 3 people. Hold on. If you're still on here and you were the one that brought like 2 people and their newbies came on, you said you invited 5 people, let me know. Because if so, I'll go back through. Okay, yeah, that's right. It was Nakim. Okay, Nakim, all right. So Nakim, I'm going to do 30 minutes of like a one-on-one call whenever you're ready. So Nakim, shoot me an email. We'll schedule that. Love to chat with you. And guys, next week, whoever, I want to do this challenge every week so we can get more newbies on here. So whoever brings the most new people, we'll do like a 30-minute one-on-one. And yeah, guys, take it from here. So let me give you a last tip. So a good way to find new people is to go on the Facebook group, tag people, post about this Problems to Profits, tell them your best takeaway from Novations, what you learned, or maybe something that I brought value or why this Zoom was valuable for you. So share that, tag some people, and then that's a great way to go bring more people on. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up. 2 minutes over, about to be a minute late. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.